Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Seattle Mariners and the New York Yankees. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Thursday, everyone. Our number one, Walter, a.k.a. Logan Gilbert. And on the right, one of the best players in the game when healthy, Aaron Judge. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners in left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting second, playing center field, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. Batting third, playing right field, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, DHing today for Seattle, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting fifth, playing first base, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting sixth, playing second base tonight, Brendan Donovan. Batting seventh, playing third base, Weston Wilson. Batting eighth, catching today for Seattle, Johnny Pereda. And batting ninth, playing shortstop, Leo Rivas. And on the mound for the Mariners with an 8-7 record, ERA of 3.42, it is Logan Gilbert. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the home New York Yankees. Leading off for the Yankees, they're in center field, Trent Grisham. Batting second, DHing for New York, Ben Rice. Batting third, playing left field, Spencer Jones. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, Luis Garcia Jr. Batting fifth, playing shortstop, George Lombard Jr. Batting sixth, playing second base, Jazz Chisholm Jr. Batting seventh, playing right field, Jose Caballero. Batting eighth, playing third base, Ryan McMahon. And batting ninth, catching today for New York, Ali Sanchez. And on the mound for the Yankees with a 4-3 record, ERA of 2.88, it is Max Fried. Tridents up. Let's go M's. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Early morning game here, obviously, on the West Coast. We're going to bring out the Mariner Moose to prevent the sweep. And again, hopefully we can bring our best foot forward. You know, it's either the pitching is good or the bullpen blows it, or maybe the hitting is great, but then the bullpen blows it again. We got to find a way to get good starting pitching, a good bullpen performance, good defense, and get some offense going as well. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. He's retiring after this season, so we dedicate every stream to the one and the only Rick Riz. We love you. Dude in the building, what's good? All day in the building, what's good? Not ideal, you know, not having Cole Young and Colt Emerson in the lineup. Obviously, Cole is more valuable than Colt, offensively, but both are valuable defensively. Definitely a weaker lineup with Weston Wilson, Johnny Pereda, and Leo Rivas in. But again, you know, something's got to give. And again, you know, things have been very rough, you know, here in the last 20, 30 games. And again, we just got to be able to try to do our best to stay afloat when we're going to be going against top tier talent of all of August. Now, we have a couple teams that may or may not make the playoffs in the Astros and the Blue Jays, but let's be real. Those teams play us very, very well. And on top of that, we got the Phillies and the Cubs and the Brewers and the Red Sox, and they all seem like they're going to be not only playoff teams, but they can make deep, deep runs. We obviously know the Dodgers and Rays are going to be favored to go and represent their conferences to get to the World Series. Dodgers for the National League, Rays for the American League, but you just never know. Injuries and obviously teams getting into a mini slump and other teams getting hot. Anything can happen. But again, we just got to do our best to kind of try to stay afloat, and again, it hasn't been easy so far. Jacob in the building. What's good? I'm going to go check up on Paisley real quick, make sure she is settled in. And again, we should be ready for first pitch here in just a moment. All right, got Paisley all settled in, got myself a water. And it's nice to see Taylor Ward not leading off. But again, no Taylor Ward in the starting lineup, no Cole Young and no Colt Emerson. And I don't really mind Taylor Ward not being in there, even though he's been pretty productive. But the Cole Young, we've seen him play in pretty much every game this season. And I assume that he'll be available to pinch hit later in the game. Obviously, when we go against lefties and righties, sometimes we end up making adjustments, and we're going against Max Fried, a lefty. Not ideal, really, to have a few guys, because even when we have strong lineups, we haven't necessarily put our best foot forward. But again, something's got to give, and let's take a look to see. So it looks like they have Ward and Young listed day to day, but there is a chance that they may end up playing. And then JP Crawford, obviously due back in a few days. Sounds like it might be around August 18th, around the same time as Carlos Vargas, and that is tentative. Okay, we're getting ready for first pitch here. All right, Max Fried on the mound, and leading it off for the Mariners here is Randy Arozarena. On deck is Julio Rodriguez. And first pitch by Randy, pops it up, and thankfully it goes into foul territory, out of play. 0-1 count. Julie in the building. What's good? Matt in the building. Trident's up. Let's get it. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Max Fried. And we've seen Randy hit a homer, in game 1 and game 2, and has only been able to do that, in very, very limited series where he can get a home run in every game. But he does have a chance to do that here today. 0-1 pitch. Low and at the knees, curveball, 74 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Fried to Arozarena. 1-1 pitch, four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. Fouled it off himself there. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the first inning, 0-0 Mariners and Yankees. Reflected in the building. Good morning. How are you? Hawks in the building. What's good? Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't surprised that Castillo had a career-high 10 Ks and helped the White Sox win, because that's what happens, right? Anytime that anybody leaves our team, they play great, no matter if they go to a good team or a bad team. So I'm happy for Luis. Obviously, he was overpaid and just it wasn't a fit here, but obviously it's a very good fit for Chicago. And again, they're a playoff team, and it won't shock me if he ends up helping them go a little bit further in the playoffs if he can play like he did last night. And on a 2-2 pitch, that is strike three. Down goes Randy Arozarena, and that is one away. Takes that strike looking. High and inside cutter, and that is one up and one down. All right, next up is Julio Rodriguez. We got Julio now in the box. First pitch to Julio. Takes a strike, low and away. Curveball off speed, 74 miles an hour. Kind of fooling Julio there, but hopefully we can get some patient at-bats on deck. The Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. And in last night's game, we saw Randy, Julio, and Dom all homer, and it still wasn't enough, And again, Brian Wu pitched amazing. Right happened, you had Bizzardo and obviously, Rucker kind of blow it. And then yesterday, Miller did not really pitch very well. And then, we do get the home runs. We get the 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, but still wasn't enough. And the Yankees started to kind of clobber our bullpen. And that's kind of been the story, And again, has to be starting pitching, bullpen, offense, and defense. It can't just be one category out of the 4 or even 2 out of 4. And again, it just feels like more times than not, lately it's been the bullpen and the hitting, and again, anytime we end up getting, 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, if the pitching is good, we typically win, but the pitching wasn't good with Miller and the bullpen, and we dropped a game yesterday. But at least the bats started to come alive, and that's, I guess, something to, get, somewhat a positive about. As Julio strikes out there on pitch number 4, takes a strike looking, then takes a ball high and inside, fouls off number 3, and then takes a strike 3 looking high and inside on the corner. And now we get Randy and Julio looking, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up in the 3-hole, right fielder Dominic Canzone on deck in the 4-hole, DHing today, big dumper Cal Raleigh. I got you. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're using, if you're using Mariners TV or not, if you have it, but, always refreshing and, logging out and logging back into your phone or your computer, tablet, or TV, whatever you're watching it on. First pitch inside with the sinker, 1-0 count, 93-mile-an-hour pitch there by Fried. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike from Fried to the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. 1-1 pitch, line drive with the sinker, 95 miles an hour towards first base and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Fried to Dominic Canzone. Got to get the bats going early and often like yesterday, and we just got to hope that Logan Gilbert, as our number 1, pitches well today. 1-2 pitch, high and inside, sweeper, 81 miles an hour missing, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Hey, all the props are being used. We need all the luck that we can get. Griffey bobble, Mariner bat, Trident, anything to help us have any kind of luck. 2-2 pitch, high and away, sweeper, 79 miles an hour missing. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Count now is full to Dominic Canzone. Maybe we need those espresso machines and pasta that they were eating for Team Italy to kind of get our team going. Career high 19 home runs for Dom. 1 more will be 20 like Julio. 3-2 pitch. Little foul tip that goes behind the plate. Count still full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Dante in the building. What's good? All day. I see you. Three-two pitch and fouled back behind the plate. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Fried to Dominic Canzone. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And again, we play the Astros next, and it should be a little bit easier, obviously, than playing this Yankee team, even with no Judge, Bellinger, and Giancarlo Stanton. It shows you how deep the New York, Yankees are. The Rays are by far the best team in the American League and probably the only team that can match up with the Dodgers in the World Series. But again, if there's a number 2, it definitely is New York, and we'll see if they can get hot once they get Bellinger, Judge, and Stanton back. And Dom forcing a walk on a 3-2 pitch. I like that, baby. Plenty of espresso shots and pasta for everyone. Let's see if Cal Raleigh can bring him in. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And I got the Cal Raleigh hoodie on today. I know he hasn't had a very good season this year, but I'm not giving up on one of my favorite players on the team. One rough year out of, the last 4 or 5 since he's been in the big league since 2022. When injuries happen, you can't expect a guy to go from 60 home runs at a catcher position and do it again, but I do hope that he'll get back to being a 20 to 35 home run kind of guy, possibly next year. And I wouldn't be shocked before his career is over if he ends up having another 40-plus home run, season. But again, it may not be next year, but again, you just never know. Obviously it's been, in his head mentally, he's in the slump. And again, anytime you're, mentally in a slump and you're depressed or you got anxiety or both, it's hard to get out of that slump. Little line drive towards third base, throw to first, and that is 3 up and 3 down. All right, let's go to the bottom of the first inning and see who's up next here for the Yankees. We got our ace on the mound, so it gives us a good shot, at least for starting pitching, to be good today. 8-7 record, ERA of 3.42. Our number 1, Logan Gilbert. And based on how they played recently, power ranking wise, Gilbert 1, Kirby 2, Woo 3, Hancock 4, Miller 5, which is wild because Miller used to be the number 1 and Hancock used to be the number 2. But it shows you things can definitely elevate and obviously, end up kind of going up and down, based on week to week and game to game process. And hopefully we can get Hancock and Miller back to where they were. But it's nice to be able to see Kirby and Woo get back to where we know they can be. And even with Woo pitching, obviously a shutout. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get him to win when he normally gives up 6 runs on the road. So, something's got to give. Leading off for the Yankees, playing center field today, Trent Grisham. Batting second at DH, having a breakout year for the Yankees, Ben Rice. And batting third, playing left field, Spencer Jones. Tridents up, let's go M's. 46 subs to go to 24,600. Gained another sub here moments ago. Thank you so much. 45 subs to go to 24,600. Less than 500 to go to 25,000. Exciting. 6.2 to 6.3 million views. Next goal will be 7 million views on the channel. Then 8, 9, and 10 million. And we're still looking for our first dono on our dono train this morning. And let's see where we're at on the likes here early. Hopefully we're in the 20 to 30 range. And let's see where we're at. We're at 23 and 77 to go to 100. Blue Jay in the building. What's good? All right, come on, Logan. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 Mariners and Yankees. No Taylor Ward, Cole Young, or Colt Emerson today, but we may see some of those individuals pinch hit later if they're needed. And then we end up playing the Astros next, which is obviously a little bit of a relief, even though we know that they play us tough. Obviously, going into the All-Star break and having to play the Marlins and the Rays and then having to play the Rangers and Dodgers back-to-back. Schedule makers didn't really do us any favors. And again, it's been a very, very difficult month, and it's not going to get any easier until we get to September. 0-1 pitch, takes a big swing and a miss, low and away. Good start here. No balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Grisham. But we got the Astros, and you got teams like the Phillies, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Red Sox, and then you got the Blue Jays. So maybe the Blue Jays and the Astros would be the easiest. But as anybody knows, as any Mariner fan knows, just because they may have a good record or bad record doesn't mean it's going to be easy against our rivals, the Astros and Blue Jays. So, hopefully we can get back on track here today and carry it over against the Astros starting tomorrow. 0-2 pitch with the splitter, 86 miles an hour, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Trent Grisham. Tridents up, let's go M's. looking forward to football season as well. I mean, obviously, if the Mariners were playing last season, we're still focused, primarily on the Mariners, but excited about football. But, we'll see how things kind of play out the rest of this year, if we end up making a run or not. But the NFL and college football right around the corner. You got some preseason games, only 3 weeks of preseason. So, I'm definitely going to be soaking in some of that action as well, and looking forward to the football season here on the channel. Pitches low and at the knees, 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the first, 0-0 Mariners and Yankees. Two-two pitch. Popped up behind the plate and out of play there by Grisham, who had 2 home runs yesterday. Hopefully that doesn't happen here today. Bottom of the first, 0-0 Mariners and Yankees. Gilbert on the mound, Grisham in the box. Two-two pitch, line drive into right. Wow! Amazing catch there by Brendan Donovan. And again, Donnie, normally would play second. Sometimes would get some time at, short and third. But again, with a few of the, regulars, not playing today. Great job there by Brendan Donovan. That gave me a flashback of Cole Young, and again, if Donnie can play like that, that's exactly what we're going to need. Because if that was yesterday, maybe that ends up being a hit, not necessarily over Cole Young, but a lot of hits went into right field yesterday. Next up is Ben Rice. Sweeper, 83 miles an hour, in there for a strike, 0-1 count. Nice job there by Donnie with the defense. We love it. Oh-1 pitch with the changeup, 88 miles an hour, fouled back behind the plate by Ben Rice. No balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Rice. On deck is Spencer Jones. Yeah, I do. Last year I took my first year off after 15 or 20 years, doing it pretty much every year. And it felt refreshing to kind of have a break from it, just to be able to root for my players and my team rather than rooting for players on other teams and whatnot. But I am going to do a fantasy football league on the channel again after taking 1 year off of it from last year. And we'll have a 10-man league. And again, I'm looking forward to it. We'll do our draft right after the last preseason game. And that way, if there's any injuries, within week 1, week 2, week 3 in the preseason, if you do a draft a little early and someone gets hurt, it kind of ruins it, So we want to make sure that we can kind of see where everyone is at, injury wise. And I'm definitely excited to kind of get back into the mix of it. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Good start there for Logan Gilbert. Big strikeout there for Walter, and that is 2 away. Nice job, Logan. Next up is Spencer Jones playing left field today. On deck is Luis Garcia Jr. Yeah, I'll end up doing a live stream, on it. And then what will typically happen is I'll do a live stream and then, I'll have my email available. And then once I end up doing the live stream and, we'll end up having those spots and it's kind of first come, first serve. So, just, keep tabs, on the live stream itself when I end up announcing it or on social media. And then, the first 9 people besides myself that end up giving me their email and, contact information and whatnot, who they are, screen name wise and email, those will be the first 9 that will be able to get in. 1-1 pitch. Low and away, 4-seam fastball, 99 miles an hour there by Logan Gilbert. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 2 outs. 0-0 here early with a must-win game for the Mariners here this morning. And a hard hit ball into left, and Randy at the last minute finally reaches up and makes the play. I got a little nervous there. Randy was a little too nonchalant, out there in left field, but finally raised his glove and got the ball. Imagine if he doesn't do that and that ends up going over his head. again, there's just been so many issues with Randy in left field. Normally not with pop-ups though, but thankfully, he's paying attention to a certain degree and getting out number 3. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners as we go to the top of the second inning with a 0-0 tie here early on. Next up for the Mariners in the 5 hole, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting second in the 6 hole, playing second base today, filling in for Cole Young, Brendan Donovan. And batting third in the 7 hole, third baseman today, Weston Wilson. Try to ends up. Let's go, M's. 45 subs to go to 24,600. And gained another sub moments ago. Thank you so much. 44 subs to go to 24,600. Less than 500 to go to 25,000. Shout out to our female audience, our regulars, our mods, our new subs, and everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. We are global, baby. And let's see where we're at on the likes. And we'll get a few more people trickling in as it gets a little bit later in the afternoon. And we're at 28, 72 to go. And when we end up, doing our fantasy football league, if you're not familiar with it, I will end up doing a live stream on the draft here on the channel, so we can all kind of, tune in and, go, based on, strategy and whatnot. And that makes it kind of exciting as well to be able to, kind of talk, in between the picks and kind of go over who picked who. And it's going to be very, very exciting. First pitch into Naylor is a ball, 1-0 count. That pitch was high and inside with a sinker, 91 miles an hour. Another 91 mile an hour pitch right down the middle this time around. 1 ball and 1 strike from Max Fried to Josh Naylor. One pitch, big swing and a miss. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the second inning, 0-0 Mariners and Yankees. No entry fee. No entry fee. It's one of those things that, I know there's a lot of them out there that make you pay 10, 20, 50, 100. This one is going to be competitive, but no entry fee. There'll just be 9 people besides myself. And then at the end of the year, whoever ends up winning usually will get something from me. So little slow dribbler. Down first base, toe tap on the bag, down goes Naylor, and that is 1 away. Next up for the Mariners in the 6 hole, second baseman Brendan Donovan. On deck is Weston Wilson. I think that's what makes it, exciting, is that you don't have to put anything in, and then you still might be able to get something. Not only the respect on the channel, from everybody, and usually people will check in when we do week to week, matchups and, a little smack talk, nothing too crazy, and, just kind of keep it on everybody in the league week in and week out throughout the whole year. And again, I usually do it every year for the last 15 or 20 myself, but I took last year off just kind of as a vacation and a break from it, because it definitely consumes my life, and, it felt good to kind of recharge, but I'm ready, to do it again. And we will be doing it probably moving forward on the channel every year. So just needed a 1 year break from it. 0-2 pitch, little slow dribbler, throw to first and toe tap on the bag. And that is 2 away. Little dribbler up the middle by Donnie, couldn't skate through. Good defense there by the Yanks. And that is 2 up and 2 down. Mike in the building. What's good? Angry in the building. What's good? Heck yeah, man. I wish you the best of luck, my guy. anybody that's trying to get a new job or, going from one job to another can kind of be a scary process, and whatnot. And I wish the best for you. And I know you're going to do a great job in your interview. And for whatever reason, if that one doesn't work out, there's going to be another one that will be a better fit for you. So don't get discouraged. Job market right now is pretty competitive and it's pretty tough. So again, you don't want to be able to throw all your mental health eggs in one basket. And then if you don't get it, you get down in the dumps and whatnot. There's always going to be, something else out there, if this one doesn't work out, but if it does work out, then fantastic, but, just make sure that, you understand where things are at. And I know you'll do a great job, and whether it's this one or the next one, but you'll definitely be able to get something that I know that you'll like. And sometimes that's what it's about. Some people have to settle, sometimes for less pay and, maybe not all the benefits, but you end up working with cool people. And sometimes you stick around at a job just because for the people, not necessarily because of the benefits and the pay, or, who the owners or managers are, and sometimes you got to have that balance, of people you work with, the pay and the benefits, as well as the owners and the management. And hopefully you'll be able to find a good fit. Pitch is outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Weston Wilson. Lauren in the building. How are you? Two pitch. And a hard hit ball by Weston Wilson. Deep left field. Back. Gone! Let's go! Weston Wilson with a solo dinger. 1-0 Mariners. Here we go, Weston. And again, we know Weston isn't a great player. He's a reserve backup, but you just never know, who might end up being an unsung hero. And again, Weston Wilson bringing the bat. Again, we'll take that. Great job by Weston. 1-0 Seattle. Next up is Johnny Pareda. I had to bring out the mini bat. Anything to help us win. I got the bobblehead, got the trident, and I figured, hey, next thing has got to be the mini bats. I got an old school one from Griffey, little dribbler by Johnny Pareda, throw to first, and that is out number 3. But that one is a little bit smaller, but I got a few other ones that have player images on them, like Cal Raleigh, but it's wrapped in plastic. So figured this Black Mariner bat would be sufficient. And again, nice job there by Weston Wilson getting the job done. Thank you. I'm thinking I might have to end up cutting the sleeves off this one too, like with my other hoodie and whatnot. This one is a gift from my dad, over the holidays. And it's super comfortable. And I don't really want to necessarily quote unquote ruin it, if I cut the sleeves wrong, but hopefully I'll be able to line it up like I did with the other. But, I know Cal's not having the greatest season this year, but he's still one of my favorites. And that is a really nice hoodie. I like it with the Raleigh, and I like it with the 29 in the back, and then it's got the player image. Very cool gift that I got from my dad. All right, let's go to the bottom of the second inning after Weston Wilson surprises all of us with a solo dinger. And again, you just never know, especially with the Mariners, you never know what version of the Mariners you're going to get. Are we going to get good pitching and good hitting? We don't know. Are we going to get good bullpen and good defense? We don't know, but again, great to be able to see, something positive, for us. Tridents up, Weston Wilson, solo dinger. And again, we got dingers by Randy, Julio, and Dom yesterday, but nice job by Weston Wilson. Good job. All right, next up for the Yankees here in the bottom of the second inning, in the 4-hole, first baseman Luis Garcia Jr. Batting second in the 5-hole, shortstop George Lombard Jr. And batting third in the 6-hole, second baseman Jazz Chisholm Jr. Jr. Only junior I love is Ken Griffey Jr., baby. 44 subs to go to 24,600. Still looking for our first dono on our dono train. And let's see where we're at on the likes. First pitch is outside to Garcia. 87-mile-an-hour changeup, 1-0 count. And we're at 34 likes, 66 to go. One-0 pitch is called ball, challenged by the Yankees, and or challenged by the Mariners there. And it ends up being 1 ball and 1 strike from Gilbert to Garcia. Instead of a 2-0 count, so we end up winning that challenge there. And it definitely looked like a strike. So, ABS has worked out, for a lot of people, and again, it's probably the best new rule change that we've had in the last 20, 30 years. 2-1 pitch. And that's popped up into deep left field. Back to the wall. Get it, Randy. Run, Randy. Run, Randy. And a double there by Luis Garcia Jr., who's been much better than Elliot Ramos, who struggled. They picked up both guys at the deadline to kind of stay afloat while Judge, Bellinger, and Stanton have been injured. One guy has played great, and the other guy has struggled. And one guy is in the lineup today, Luis Garcia Jr., and the other isn't in the lineup, Elliot Ramos. Next up is George Lombard Jr., and on deck is Jazz Chisholm Jr. First time that you're going to see 3 juniors in a row in a lineup. Velasco in the building. What's good? Rebecca in the building. How are you? Lauren in the building. How are you? Now, they got a few, kind of custom, hoodies that I've seen online of like Julio and Griffey and Cal. You just kind of have to look around, with not everything is going to be through the Mariners team store. There'll be some custom stuff that's out there. You just kind of have to search for it. So big swing and a miss right down the middle. No balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Lombard Jr. And again, normally I'm a guy that's going to, stick with the branding of the team, whether it's like Nike stuff or, whoever you're linked with, based on that particular sport. But, every once in a blue moon, if you do your research and you look, you can find some kind of off-brand custom stuff that ends up being top tier, just as good as the stuff that they sell in the team store, sometimes even better, based on the look of it and the comfort, of it as well. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to cut the sleeves off of this too. I just like to be able to have my arms free. I'm a cut-off tee shorts kind of guy all year round. Even in the snow. So, I like to be able to be cool and comfortable. I kind of run hot. So, I'm not really a pants kind of guy or a sweatshirt kind of guy, even though I have some, but, sleeves are probably coming off this pretty soon. Pitch fouled off there behind the plate. Slider, 88 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Mariners with a Weston Wilson solo dinger. Jerry in the building. What's good? And I know it's felt like, months since we've won a game, and it hasn't been good lately. We play the Astros next, so we can get back on track. It's not going to be easy. Astros and Blue Jays might be the easiest opponents this month. And then you got the Phillies and the Brewers and the Cubs and the Red Sox. What a nightmare. So many playoff teams already playing the Rays and the Yankees. I've never seen a schedule so, top heavy, but again, if we were playing as good as we were last year, it wouldn't be a big deal. As Naylor gets that in foul territory, and great strong throw to third base to Weston Wilson to prevent the runner from tagging up Garcia and getting to third. Good awareness there by Nails. But again, as we know, last year was last year, this year is this year. And, again, it's one of the most challenging years that we've had in a long, long time. And it hurts more because we have talent. It's one thing if we only had 1 or 2 good players like 15, 20 years ago, and we're striking out 15, 20 times, then it's kind of expected. But after going to the ALCS Game 7 and having World Series dreams, and then, being a World Series contender coming into the season, and then seeing this version of the product, definitely a disappointment, but we just have to take it one day at a time. And, hopefully Dan Wilson and DePoto will get fired at some point, and we can move forward next year, even though there may be a strike. And hopefully we'll still have a 100-game season and a new manager, and that'll give us some new hope and new belief. First pitch with the slider, four-seam fastball, low and away, 1-0 count. Slider in there right down the middle, 88 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Jazz Chisholm Jr. Hopefully if we do have a strike next season, we still have a 100-game season. If we have to miss the first 2 months, but we still have 100 games, that's what I'm kind of shooting for. I don't want us to have no baseball, at all. I can still do like the Tacoma Rainiers if they televise it, and I can do NBA and NHL with the Kraken and WWE and AEW and NASCAR, but obviously, when it's baseball season, I want to do baseball. When it's football season, I want to do football, college and NFL. So, we'll see how it all plays out. 2-1 pitch in there for a strike on the corner. Nice change up there by Logan Gilbert. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at second, Luis Garcia Jr., and 1 out. Toughest month that we've had, based on the talent that we have and the opponents that we're facing. I have never seen a schedule like August in the last, 10 years or so. I mean, maybe we had something like this back in 2001, but we obviously know in Ichiro's rookie year, it didn't matter who he played. And even last year, I don't think we ever had a month this difficult. And obviously we were rolling last year, so it wouldn't have even really mattered. Yeah, we're not going to win every game, but based on how we did last year, we didn't really fear anybody. We were one of the best teams in baseball, right? So, but this year is a much different story. And that is 2 away. Next up is Jose Caballero. Yeah, I'll end up doing Seahawks games, as well. It just kind of depends, obviously Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, we'll do college football on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if there's games. And then, depending on when the Seahawks play, depending on if it ends up being morning or afternoon, I'll try to double dip and, try to get some Seahawk games in as well. So, and obviously them being local, and obviously not everyone can afford Sunday ticket. Not everyone can afford, to be able to watch, all their teams, play if they have more than one. So, but I'm going to do my best to try to, grind out as much as I possibly can without burning myself out in football season. Pitches inside with a slider, 88 miles an hour, 2 balls and no strikes from Gilbert to Caballero. 2-0 pitch and a little blooper and caught there by Leo Rivas. And that is out number 3. End of the second inning, 1-0 Mariners after a Weston Wilson home run. And now let's see if our luck can continue with another guy that we don't really expect anything, but you never know. Sometimes great things happen. Next up in the 9-hole, shortstop today, Leo Rivas. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a K, left fielder Randy Orosarena. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, it's center fielder J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. Tried ends up, let's go M's. But again, I'm not looking forward to a strike next season, but, we'll do, as many Seahawk games as possible. I'll try to do every one if I can. Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night football, college football, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then if we end up doing, a live stream, just going over fantasy football and just going over the matchups during the week, we can end up doing a live stream for an hour to 3 hours, on like Tuesday and Wednesday. So that way every day we're doing something to keep the family together. And then, again, you got WWE, you got AEW, NBA, obviously once the Sonics come back, we'll do Blazers and Sonics, and then primetime games as well. Do Kraken for obviously NHL fans. And then obviously as we go into the new part of the year, depending on if we have baseball or not, we'll end up probably doing some NASCAR Cup Series as well. So there's not really anything that I don't, feel comfortable not doing. We can even do UFC or boxing if it's worth doing, and we can get an audience for it if the matchups are good. So really nothing is out of the norm. It just kind of depends on what the hot thing is at the moment and whatnot. So, and again, I try to watch as much as I possibly can. I watch Coug games, I watch Beaver games, I watch Duck games, I watch Husky games. I root for all those teams to do well besides when they play each other. And even me being a Buck fan, I still watch every Seahawk game, and I've been that way for a long time. So looking forward to the season, and again, we'll see how it all kind of plays out. First pitch from Max Fried to Leo Rivas, high and away, four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And a little line drive towards third. It's fair. Run, Leo, run! And a strong run by Leo, but just in time. But I like the effort by Rivas running hard, and that is one away. And again, we know the Kraken have kind of gone through up and down, moments, obviously, changing, the coach here and there. And again, it feels like they're, on the cusp of, hopefully getting to a point, where they can end up making the playoffs again. But obviously when you play in the West, with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche and other teams that step up for that year, it's not going to be easy. It's definitely going to be an uphill battle, but I enjoy watching them play. And, again, we'll try to sprinkle in as much as we can, throughout the season, depending on what's on. But I mean, everything is followed by me in the Pacific Northwest. And really the only thing that I follow heavily outside of the Pacific Northwest is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just because I'm a defensive oriented fan. Didn't want to be a bandwagon Niner fan with the Montana Rice era, and again, Seahawks didn't really have defensive players back when I was a kid that I kind of connected with. I'm more of a Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Rondé Barber, Simeon Rice kind of guy, a Mike Allstott for the offense kind of guy. And again, if we had the Legion of Boom back when I was a kid, yeah, I would have been a Seahawk fan easily. And obviously if I lived in Washington, instead of Oregon, I would have been a Seahawk fan, but regardless if they had the defensive guys or not. So that's kind of where I stand, based on teams. Everybody in Oregon and Washington, and then, the one obviously there in Florida. And a nice line drive up the middle off a sinker, 91 miles an hour on a 2-0 or 2-1 pitch there to Randy, and a nice base knock there by Randy Arosarena. Nice job, Randy. And next up is Julio Rodriguez. On deck is Dominic Canzone. Yeah, I mean, that's my kind of personality, I'm high energy, but that old school kind of mentality in football, Julio with a line drive in to right, and again, it's like when you grow up in the 80s and the 90s, and you watch guys like Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher and Derek Brooks and, hard hitters like, John Lynch and Ronnie Lott, and that's kind of my personality. I'm kind of like a linebacker, safety kind of guy, and again, I like D-line, nose tackles and DNs, and, I like corners, but I'm a defensive guy first. I like pick sixes, fumbles for touchdowns. And then obviously if you're an offensive player, you got to be special for me to really go above and beyond to I normally don't really buy a whole lot of offensive jerseys, but again, if I were to, it would have to be someone like a Mike Allstott type of player. That's like once in a generation, I'm not going to just buy, anybody, and again, I think most people are offensive minded fans in all sports. I think defensive minded fans are much rare. It's usually about maybe 5% of fans are defensive oriented first. 95% would rather go with a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or tight end jersey. But for me, it would normally be like linebacker, safety, D end, nose tackle, corner. I'd rather get a jersey of a player like that, so. First pitch in there to Dominic Canzone, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees with a sinker, 95 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Fried to Canzone. Yeah, Legion of Boom, I really loved. I loved watching, guys come together with Sherman and Earl Thomas III and Cam Chancellor and Brendan Browner, to be able to see that. And we obviously know Bobby Wagner is a Hall of Famer, and he's been able to do it on any team. Should have never left Seattle, but again, it's a business. And every team that he's gone to, he's always dominated. Everyone thought, oh, Wagner's going to fall off. He's never fallen off. Still normally one of those top 5 guys in tackles. And that shows you that Wagner is built different. 2-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Fried to Canzone. Oh yeah, since Kevin ended up not coming back to the Blazers, originally a Sonics announcer, he definitely will be the Sonics play-by-play guy, and he's got a great voice. He's fantastic. Gives you that grandpa voice, but with swagger and aura, and he's special. And again, when the Sonics come back, I will be doing Blazer and Sonic games. So, and hopefully at that time when the Sonics come back, not only do they get Calabro, but they get the other Kevin Durant. He has said in the media that he would love to retire, where he got drafted in Seattle. And that would put butts in the seats, and he still would be able to put up 20 points a game, even at the end of his career. 2-2 pitch. And that is strike 3. Down goes Dominic Canzone. And that is 2 away. Roseburg. Okay. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. On deck is Josh Naylor. And again, I've lived in the Pacific Northwest my whole life, and I don't think I can leave it. If I was going to live anywhere outside of Oregon, I would live in Washington next. Obviously California on the West Coast, it's expensive. There's more crime, and I know people that live down there, and there's some areas that are nicer than others that aren't as bad with traffic and crime and obviously the cost of living. But, I think once you live in the Pacific Northwest, it's kind of hard to leave. And then a lot of people that do leave end up coming back. And also people that aren't from here that visit usually come here and they stay here. I've had a lot of people on the channel that have wanted to visit, and once they end up visiting, usually go back home and then they relocate, and then they end up living here in Oregon and Washington, depending on if you live in the Midwest or if you live in the desert in Arizona or if you live on the East Coast or in the South. It's kind of refreshing, to be able to have, certain things that you can do for nightlife, but also have, the parks, and the trees and the mountains and the lakes and the skiing and the snowboarding and the wineries and the breweries and the dispensaries and, all kinds of things that you can do, and also hiking and, biking and climbing and walking with your pets. It's just, it's definitely a special area if you live in Oregon and Washington, compared to a lot of other places. You're only about 2 hours away in any direction from something fun. And that is popped up by Cal Raleigh on a 1-2 count and out number 3. Like, based on where I live, I'm only, 30 minutes away from downtown. I'm a couple hours away, from either seeing, like the Ducks, or, 30 minutes away from maybe the Blazers, going up to Seattle, maybe about 3 hours away. If I want to end up going to the coast and going to the beach, a couple hours away. If I want to go to the mountains and go camping, a couple hours away in any direction. So it's kind of refreshing, that in any direction that you go, you can end up, finding a different type of landscape, whether it be on the coast, whether it be in the mountains, whether it be in the dunes, if you want to ride, quads or whatnot, whatever your prerogative and whatever your interests are. If you live in Oregon and Washington, you're going to have a pretty good chance of making, your dreams come true, whatever, passion you have, especially for, not only full-time passions, but also part-time hobbies. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning with a 1-0 lead. And again, Weston Wilson giving us an unexpected 1-0 lead with a home run. And hopefully we get a few more home runs and RBIs before this one is over. Let's see who's up next here for New York. Next up for the Yankees, the former Rocky in the 8-hole, third baseman today, Ryan McMahon. Batting second in the 9-hole, catcher Ali Sanchez. And batting third, leadoff hitter, center fielder, Trent Grisham. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 44 subs to go to 24,600. Still looking for our first dono on our dono train. Looks like we gained another sub moments ago. Appreciate you. $43 subs to go to 24,600. And we're at 46 on the likes, 54 to go. I mean, especially if you live somewhere that doesn't have trees, and you don't have access to go somewhere where there's like a river or a lake or an ocean. It definitely is one of those things as far as mental health. I had really bad depression and anxiety. And as anyone knows, once you get outside, regardless if you have a pet or not, or once you end up seeing water, it definitely rejuvenates you and heals you. And sometimes you need that. And for some people that live in the middle of the country, or if you live in the desert, there's not really an option, for that. And so, I really do encourage people to come visit. And a lot of times people not only visit, but they come back and they end up living here. 1-1 pitch popped up there by Ryan McMahon, out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Gilbert to McMahon. Dave in the building. What's good? One-two pitch popped up and out of play. Velasco with a 5er getting us going. Appreciate you. Me and Paisley appreciate it. Every dollar counts. Appreciate you very, very much. We're at 5 on the Dono train, 95 to go. All it takes is one person to show some love and support for all the hard work that we put in here. And obviously doing this full time, we need support for me to continue to do it full time. And I appreciate you very, very much. Go M's. Appreciate you. 2-2 pitch from Gilbert to McMahon. Popped up and out of play. Yeah, and also for, with a pet, if you end up walking, with a pet, and obviously if you would have told me a few years ago that I would be walking 5 miles a day, 7 days a week, every day for like 2 to 3 years, I would say you're crazy. I had horrible habits of eating and drinking and partying and eating fast food, and to be able to get back on track with my life and, lose 100 pounds and keep it off and actually look forward to exercising with Paisley and getting outside. It, really does make a difference in your life if you can change your eating habits and your exercising habits. I haven't had a bad, depression, anxiety day since all that started to happen for me, and a lot of times, it's about who you're hanging around, but also your habits. And if you got bad habits, it can bring you down a bad rabbit hole, and if you can end up changing your life, it's hard at the beginning, to give up, fast food and drinking and partying and certain things. But once you start doing it, it becomes a good positive habit. Base knock into right. And a decent throw there into the infield there for a single. Yeah. And as you know, dog food isn't cheap. Again, a 1 month, a 30-pound bag for me usually is $80 to $85 on top of all the other things that I got to do with Paisley. So, and obviously going to the vet 3 times in 3 months for $1,100 really hit me in the pocketbook. So, anything that can be done, and again, some people think, $1 to $5 doesn't matter, but it does. Every dollar adds up, whether it's on the Super Chat or the Cash App or the Venmo to, make, Paisley life, as great as it can possibly be. And I'm trying to be the best dog father that I can be to my dog daughter. 0-1 pitch coming into Trent Grisham, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike from Gilbert to Grisham, and there's also, things like powder, for her teeth, to make sure, she's got fresh breath and, we can make sure the teeth are healthy, and then probiotics to make sure she has good gut health. So she's not, biting her tail or scratching her ear. I mean, there's a lot involved, when you have a dog, on top of like blueberries and strawberries and eating healthy too. Another line drive there into right, and Gilbert now into a little bit of a mini jam, going in for the double and safe. And now we have runners at second and third with 1 out. We desperately need a double play. Appreciate you. and I know that Paisley's having the best life that she possibly can have. And obviously I wouldn't be able to do that without family, as well as me trying to make sure I put her first, and, obviously we know for every day that we're alive, it's about a week for a dog. So I try to make sure I live every day as if, if I wake up and Paisley wakes up, for every one day, that's a week of her life. Imagine if that was, reversed. For every day that we lived, it was like a week for one day. So you definitely appreciate every little thing in life. And, I try to make sure to understand that, I want to make sure that every day that I'm alive, that's like a week for her, that we go above and beyond. There's no, I don't feel like it, type of moments. Like, I got to get out there and make sure that she has the best day that she possibly can have every day. And it looks like the call is overturned. There we go. And we get a big out at second base, and we haven't really been able to throw guys out that often. Great replay there, and we finally get a call to go our favor, and that is 2 away. Huge. Big out there. Yeah, and a dog is a huge commitment. Obviously, if you have a cat, you can be a little bit lazier with it, depending on if it's an indoor or outdoor cat. But, if you have a dog, you have a responsibility, to make sure it gets outside and gets those walks and can sniff the bushes and the grass, and it can get that exercise. Because, if you're not able to get out there and give the exercise, a dog is not going to have a good life. They're going to tear stuff up at home, and they're going to get depressed like a human. So, 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Gilbert to Rice. Bottom of the third inning with a runner at third with 2 outs. Mariners playing well so far with a 1-0 lead. And, again, it's a huge responsibility to be an owner of a dog. There's a lot of bad dog owners out there. People that don't put their dogs on leashes and think everything is okay because the dog is okay with them. But you don't know how they're going to act around a new dog or a stranger that, is in the area. And I've had to pick up Paisley probably 30 times, in the last 2 years, for people being stupid and whatnot, because I'm not going to allow her to get bit or run up on. So, but again, if you have the time and the energy and the patience and the love, you can really make a difference in life with the dog. But, you got to be able to put in the effort. And a little slow dribbler up the middle, and that is a throw to first and out number 3. Logan got himself into a little bit of a jam, but guess what? We end up coming up with some great defense, and now let's see if we can end up putting up another run on the board. Let's go to the top of the 4th inning. Next up, 0 for 1 in the 5-hole. First baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting second in the 6th hole, playing second base, it is 0 for 1, Brandon Donovan. Let's go, Donnie. And batting third, 1 for 1 with a run and an RBI solo dinger. Wouldn't you know it, Weston Wilson. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Got to win this game. I don't care if we win 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. We got to win. It's been rough, and we got to be able to feel what that feeling is to get a W. So. And I don't have kids of my own, so obviously Paisley's like my daughter, and she's my soul dog. And until you end up having a soul cat or soul dog, you'll never understand what it feels like to have that unconditional love, especially if your relationships in life, haven't been the greatest, and again, I had a few, long relationships for about 7-8 years, 2 of them. But again, it definitely taught me a lot. And, I've been single for 3 years now. And honestly, I'm not really, trying to hop into the dating pool and whatnot. I got a lot of responsibility with you guys on the channel. I got a lot of responsibility with Paisley, and down the road, if it naturally happens, so be it. But, I'm not looking. And honestly, I've been probably happier than I've ever been in these last 3 years. Sometimes, you want that companionship and, you want to be able to, have someone you can date and go out and do fun things and whatnot. But, my life is very busy, with the channel and with Paisley. So, being a good father, to me, is one of the things that I'm the most proud of. And, again, I'm very proud, of all the hard work that I put in the channel, but to be the best dog father that I can be, that's probably the thing that I'm the most proud of in life, and again, it's like, there's a lot of dogs out there that don't have a good life. And again, if you can end up going the extra mile, it not only makes that dog's life better, but it makes you feel better as a human as well. First pitch from Max Fried to Josh Naylor, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees, 0-1 count. And again, for a guy that had really bad depression and anxiety, and at times I didn't know if I was still going to be here, and Paisley, really has, saved my life, and I know I've saved hers, and it just feels good, to feel loved and appreciated. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees, no balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Angry with a fiver, appreciate you. Every dollar counts. And a little blooper, and very close to being a fair ball, but they say it's foul at the last minute. That looked pretty close. No balls and 2 strikes from Fried to Naylor. Yeah, and also, Paisley is a very good, therapist for me. When things are not going the greatest with my teams that I follow, I don't feel as bad, after the games end. Like, obviously this season has not gone the way that we thought, but always knowing that she's going to be there to cheer me up, no matter how bad the Mariners do on given days, that, again, she always, puts me in a great mood. And again, it's a lot of responsibility because she's a high energy dog and whatnot. But again, it's worth it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Top of the 4th inning, 1-0 Mariners. And anybody that's got dogs or cats, will understand, and again, if you are one of those people that ends up rescuing, dogs like my dad, in, bad situations, and making their life better, or if you end up getting a dog, from a breeder, it doesn't matter where you get the dog, it's all about the time and energy and love that you put in on a daily basis. And what you put in, what you'll get back tenfold. And honestly, if I didn't have Paisley, am I walking 5 miles a day, 7 days a week? Probably not. I'm probably walking a little bit, but I definitely wouldn't be in the shape that I'm in without her. Dante with a tour. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. And anything that's donated, you're donating to not only me and Paisley, but for a dream, and helping with basic things like internet cost, streaming fees with the streaming program that I use, dog food for Paisley, just the basics, to be able to continue to do this dream on the daily. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Pitches high and inside with that sweeper, 77 miles an hour there by Max Fried. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 4th, 1-0 Mariners. 1-2 pitch from Fried. Little dribbler towards first base and out of play. Sinker, 94 miles an hour there by Max Fried. Hey, every dollar counts. I mean, everyone's budget is a little bit different. Whether it ends up being $1 or as much as, $1,500 like Odin's son, you never know, who's going to be in what type of position to be able to try to, continue to help, and again, people liking the stream, commenting, subbing to the channel, sharing, the channel. And then the ultimate compliment you can give any streamer is a donation because you're donating to a dream. And I appreciate every single one of you. 2-2 pitch. And a line drive by Naylor. Let's go. Let's go, Naylor. Next up is Brandon Donovan. Let's go, baby. Let's see if we can end up adding on another run. I mean, magic number for us usually is 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. Wild pitch, and wasn't able to get Naylor to second. If Naylor would have tried, he would have been thrown out, and he got thrown out in between the bags yesterday. So again, we know Naylor is very good at stealing bags for being a husky, bigger player. But again, you also have to have enough time to be able to get to a spot where you can actually slide head first or feet first. And we remember towards third base a few games back, Naylor went head first about 3 feet too early. And it looks like a double play, throw to first, and got him. An unfortunate double play there. Down goes Naylor, down goes Donnie, and that is 2 away. Yeah, I got a really nice one as a gift that's got Cal Raleigh's image on it, still wrapped in the plastic. I got a smaller Louisville Slugger Ken Griffey Jr. autographed bat, but it's, micro thin. It's, from way back in the day, like in the 90s. But I feel that one, based on, being on stream, looks, a little bit better than something that's a little bit smaller. Obviously, they have different variations of sizes with the mini bats and whatnot. And, it's kind of cool, that some have player image on them and autographs on them, and other things. But, I really like that Mariner bat. And, and again, if you go to a Mariner game, you can end up getting a mini bat for a reasonable price, usually, $10-15, sometimes even cheaper, depending on the vendor. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch to Weston Wilson. Curveball high and away. Good patience there by Weston, who had a home run in his first at-bat on Max Fried, who doesn't really give up home runs. 2 balls and no strikes from Fried to Wilson. 2-0 pitch, takes a strike with a sinker, 93 miles an hour right down the middle. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the fourth, 1-0 Seattle. One pitch, low and at the knees. 3 balls and 1 strike from Fried to Wilson. Yeah, a victory walk would be great. Normally I try to get both walks in before noon, but obviously this game's starting at 10:30. We have to do our second walk after this game is over, probably around 1:30. And looking forward to the Astros series tomorrow. And then we'll end up doing a late walk, usually when the sun sets. And that's usually probably my favorite walk, because then I don't have to see anybody. It's just me and Paisley in the neighborhood. Everyone is, already in their house, and there's not a whole lot of people walking their dog. And, I like to have peaceful walks. Night walk, morning walk, and then obviously afternoon is probably my least favorite. It just really depends on if you have a responsible dog owner that I bump into or not. But it seems like a lot of people, they don't believe in leashes, which drives me crazy. Or when you go to a dog park that doesn't allow dogs off leash and no one listens, I've had to yell at a few people over the years. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Fried to Wilson. Three-two pitch. And Wilson, line drive into center. Grisham is there, and that is out number 3. All right, Mariner Moose, so far so good. But again, we still got a little ways to go. Let's see who's up next here for the Yankees as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Next up for the Yankees, 0 for 1 left fielder Spencer Jones. Batting second, 1 for 1, first baseman Luis Garcia Jr., an excellent pickup for the Yankees at the deadline. And batting third, 0 for 1 shortstop in the 5-hole, George Lombard Jr. Tridents up, let's go M's. Logan Gilbert doing Logan Gilbert things as our number 1. Kirby 2, Wu 3, Hancock 4, Miller 5. 43 subs to go to 24,600. Less than 500 subs to go to 25,000, which will be a very exciting day. Let's see where we're at on the likes. Try to get as close to 100 as possible. We're at 51. 49 to go. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Shout out to our female audience, our regulars, our mods, as well as all of our new subs and everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. Shout out to Velasco. Shout out to Angry, and shout out to Dante. We're at 12 on the dono train, 88 to go. Anytime you end up going to a game, it's going to be expensive, whether it's a Mariner game, a Seahawk game, a Kraken game, Sonics in the future, Blazers, Huskies, Ducks, Cougars, Beavers, Timbers, Sounders, if you go anywhere and they have alcohol, obviously alcohol and food are grossly overpriced nowadays. I mean, you can't even go on Grubhub anymore and get a reasonable meal. It used to be you could get a reasonable meal, on Grubhub, but now with their prices increased higher than what they actually cost when you go, and then you have to pay delivery and any other, BS fee they add on to it on top of a tip. There's been many times that I've wanted to kind of break my diet rule and be like, hey, I want to go get a pizza, and then I look to see how much a pizza costs, even a small, and then it's like, after paying tip and everything, it ends up being like $30 to $50, and then I just end up eating like a PB&J and some chips instead. It's like kind of discouraging, but I can end up being a little bit healthier, but every once in a while I want to have a cheat meal. 0-2 pitch ends up being a ball due to Spencer Jones. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Jones. That pitch is low and away with a splitter, 83 miles an hour. And then if you end up wanting to get like a large pizza, you're spending probably $60 or more. That's insane. 1-2 pitch. Little dribbler towards first base and out of play. And honestly, if I'm, going to spend that kind of money, I'd rather spend it on Paisley, on things that she needs rather than on myself, It's very rare when I get anything for myself, maybe once or twice a year, if I get something on eBay, something small, to kind of keep my collector vibe going. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. And a beautiful splitter right down the middle there by Gilbert. And that is 1 away. Like last 2 things that I've bought for myself this season or this year, at the beginning of the year, I'm a big nostalgia kind of guy. So I got a holographic skull slammer, from back in the day in the 90s. If you ended up having pogs or slammers, you know what I'm talking about. And a little slow dribbler up the middle by Luis Garcia Jr. rolls through, and Dominic Canzone scoops it up in front of Julio, and a nice single there by Lombard Jr. Next up is Luis Garcia Jr. But obviously that holographic slammer, I got a good deal on it from a guy in Florida. Usually they're about $50 or more, and I got it for like 20. And then I got a Cole Young, autograph rookie, because I figured I got to grab something of Cole Young, before he starts making all-star games year in and year out. And, I got a really, really nice Topps black chrome limited to 150 autograph, nice piece. And, again, I can't afford, to be able to get a lot of the things that I want because Paisley is the priority. But, once or twice a year, I'll look on eBay to see something, that might pique my interest, nostalgia-wise or whatnot. First pitch to Lombard Jr., high and inside, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and no strikes from Gilbert to Lombard Jr. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be our best player, all-star year in and year out like Julio was early in his career. And I like guys that are two-way players, Young, obviously Julio. If Emerson can ever figure out how to be patient in the box, he could be number 3. He's already got the defense down, but he's got a long ways to go offensively. But again, we saw Young struggle in his rookie year and then break out in his second year. And I believe Emerson will do the same thing. And then I'm a big Cade Anderson guy. So, if I end up buying a jersey, Cole Young is next and then Cade Anderson. 2-1 pitch popped up into right. Dominic Canzone is there, and that is 2 away. Down goes George Lombard Jr. But, for Cole Clutch Young, I had to find at least, some autograph rookie now, because again, if I wait a few years, then that $100, dollar card will be like $300 and then it'll be out of my budget. But then if I buy it now for $100 and then it ends up turning into $300, then I look like a genius. Not only did I get a deal at the time, but then I can see something go up in value. So not that I'm ever going to sell, the Cole Young rookie auto, but I got to be able to try to, maximize my dollars and, find a good deal when I can see one. First pitch from Gilbert to Jazz Chisholm Jr. Takes the fastball, 0-1 count. I got an OJ Slammer as well. You know, the one that has the car chase on the back that's old, and then it has him, you know, in the jail in the front. Obviously, usually about a $35 to $60 piece, depending on which one that you have. And I got a really rare, like one of one Nike Michael Jordan slammer that's still in the original plastic that I've never used, and that's probably about $100 piece. So, you know, I don't have a bunch, you know, but again, I don't have any of my original Pogs, but I got that $100 Jordan slammer in the original plastic that's never been used. It's like one of one. I've never seen another. And then I got the OJ, hard metal slammer, and then I got an 8-ball black slammer. That was kind of a popular thing back in the day. The 8-ball, kind of, and the Poison and the 8-ball, those were popular. And then obviously I got that holographic slammer, which I think is awesome. They have like animals, but I ended up getting the one with the skull because I remember back in the day, having things like that as Chisholm strikes out swinging, and that is out number 3. But the holographic ones are heavy, but they're cool because if you rotate them in the light, they turn red and green and orange and blue, and they kind of move around, as you rotate them in the light and whatnot. And then they have different, images of animals and objects and whatnot. But to me, the skull one was always the coolest one. So I had to kind of rekindle my nostalgia in my childhood. And, I didn't really want to spend 50 to 100 for it, and found a vendor in Florida that was going to take 20. And I thought, wow, that's a steal, because I would have paid 50 or more. And, I like being able to, collect things that remind me of my childhood. So, all right, let's go to the top of the 5th inning. Mariners defense has been great. Mariners pitching has been amazing. Now it's just about the bats to try to come alive here. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up in the 8-hole 0 for 1, catcher Johnny Pereda. Rather have Johnny than Mitch Garver. Let's see if Johnny can do something. Batting second in the 9-hole, shortstop Leo Rivas, and 0 for 1. And 1 for 2 with a K, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Tridents up, let's go M's. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40-plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. He's retiring after this season, so we want to make sure that he goes out with a bang if we can. And again, we dedicate every stream to the one and the only Rick Riz. We love you. Tridents up, let's go M's. 43 subs to go to 24,600. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. I'd really like to try to get to 100 likes before the stream ends. It definitely helps with metrics and analytics for not only Mariner fans, Yankee fans, but fans all across the globe that are trying to find us. And we're at 55. We're about halfway there. 45 to go. We got 102 in the room. And mods and regulars in the room can help out with that as well. No, Cole Young usually, I didn't get a chance to meet him face to face, but usually with Cole Young, just like a lot of other players, they're just going to usually do their abbreviation because they have to sign hundreds of items. And this was through Topps. So it's exclusive through Topps. And it's usually kind of like a CY and a 2, if you can get it. Sometimes just CY, sometimes CY with a 2 and whatnot. So 1-1 pitch, little blooper into shallow center, and Johnny Pereda with a nice base knock. Nice job there by Johnny. Next up is Leo Rivas. On deck is Randy Arozarena. I mean, back in the day, like when I met Griffey, he would sign, his full name, Ken Griffey Jr. And I appreciate that. And he did that for his whole career. He never changed, and I appreciate someone that takes the time to, spell out their whole name, even if they're signing a bunch. But nowadays, with a lot of athletes, it's just abbreviation, and unfortunately that's just the way that it is. With Julio Rodriguez, it's just JR, and Cal Raleigh spells his full name, which is dope. Cal Raleigh's autograph is very clean, like Ken Griffey Jr., where you can see Cal and Raleigh in cursive, all the letters. And I appreciate guys that do that, because if Ken Griffey Jr. would have just been sloppy, and just did, KGJ, and it was just a bunch of slop, I would have been really disappointed. So, as a kid, being able to get that, type of autograph changed my life, not only for my fandom for Griffey, but also, meeting Koufax 3 years later and having Sandy, do his whole name as well. I just take a lot of, appreciation and pride into those people that sign their full name, even though it's not really a common thing nowadays. 2 balls and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. Yeah, Cade is going to be great. Like I said, if I'm going to buy jerseys, it's going to be for people, and I don't know. I like lefties a lot, and again, pitchers and hitters and whatnot. Not to say that I don't like, Julio or Cal who switch. I do, but, I think that Cole Young, once they start producing more of his jersey, blue, teal, City Connect, steelhead, whether they bring back the off-white, or the gray back, I don't know. But again, they need to produce a few more, and I don't have a blue and I don't have a teal, so obviously I would like to be able to get one of those colors since I already have City Connect and white and gray and a few others. But I think Cole Young and Cade Anderson will probably be my next 2 jerseys, but obviously Cade's not even up on the team yet, but it sounds like there may be a chance that Cade gets called up pretty soon. There's kind of like a deadline on August 15th if you can end up bringing up a player after that moment. Line drive up the middle, double play, throw to first, and got him. And unfortunately, the Mariners have hit into a couple double plays here today, so we haven't been able to expand our 1-0 lead. But again, pitching has been great, and as long as the bullpen doesn't shit the bed like they did in the last 2 outings against the Yankees, maybe we can end up winning this game. Next up is Randy Arozarena. Yeah, nothing makes me more frustrated in seeing people, just do abbreviation, but again, I kind of get it, especially if you're having to sign hundreds or thousands of items for like card companies, but it can be different when you meet fans. But again, once you start to sign your name with kind of an abbreviation and number, or just abbreviation, like first initial, last initial, then sometimes it just becomes a habit and whatnot. So, but I got a couple Julio autographs and I'm happy with them. I got Cal Raleigh, got Ken Griffey Jr., Cole Young, Aaron Judge, and a few others and whatnot. So, but it's all about getting like rookie autos, whether they're graded or not. That's where the money is, and you just got to be able to get them before they get too expensive. 2-0 pitch, and there for a strike. And obviously the next rookie auto, that I'll invest in is Cade Anderson. So, but Cole Young and Cade will be my next 2 jerseys. And then if Colt can get his offensive game turned around, Colt will end up being a jersey I buy down the road as well. I love two-way players, especially if you're good at defense. 2-1 pitch with the sweeper in there for a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Max Fried to Randy Arozarena. Yeah. But again, if you have a lot of kids and a lot of adults and a lot of people are hovering, it takes a long time, to sign your full name. And there's only certain people. It feels like kind of like the OGs, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. A lot of those guys will do it, but that's when like cursive was taught in school. And then now everything is AI and, everything is a little different. And, with card companies and, kind of the change of times, with cursive not even being taught. Hell, there's probably a lot of guys that are playing now that don't even know how to write in cursive. I mean, it's not something that's really taught anymore, so. Pitch fouled off there by Randy. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Fried to Arozarena. Pitches low and at the knees with that curveball. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. 3-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play behind the plate. 92-mile-an-hour cutter. Count now is 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody on, 2 outs, top of the 5th, 1-0 Mariners. Now, if cursive was still being taught in schools, then I would assume that a few of these guys would have a little bit more pride than to do first initial, last initial, or first initial, last initial number, but that's just kind of how a lot of autographs are nowadays. 3-2 pitch, high and away. And Randy takes a walk. And also with certain, companies like Upper Deck and Topps, sometimes there's deals where you have to sign, out of 5 copies, out of 10, out of 25, out of 50, out of 150, out of, and that's just one variation of a card. And then, they may have another card that you got to do that as well. So, Again, there's a lot of autographs that have to be done. And if you're going first and last name, then obviously that might take a long time. But that's why I appreciate guys like Ken Griffey Jr. He has never wavered, whether it been, in, the farm, his rookie year in '89, or even to this day where he signs for card companies or for fans, you'll always be able to read Ken Griffey Jr. And it's beautiful. It's one of the best autographs of all time. And again, some guys just have a little bit more pride, I guess, than others. And that really meant a lot to me as a little kid, and then still to this day, I have two heroes in my life, Ken Griffey Jr. and my dad. So next up is Julio Rodriguez. And, if you look on eBay on any Ken Griffey Jr. autograph, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And Randy is back at first base and safe. Just in the nick of time, but it doesn't matter if it's a farm card, a Mariner card, when he was on the Reds, or that brief time that Griffey was on the White Sox, for a lot of you that remember, or came back to the Mariners, or an all-star, auto, anything. Just a beautiful autograph. I mean, if you look up in a dictionary on how an autograph should look, Ken Griffey Jr.'s is perfect. Sweeper outside to Julio Rodriguez, 1-0 count. Let's go, Julio. And usually what happens is when players come into the league, their agents tell them, as well as these card companies, the way that you sign has to be the same way throughout all products. So again, you just can't go, Julio Rodriguez in cursive and then all of a sudden do JR on the other items, and you want to be a little lazy. You got to be able to do it the same way. So once they've been told that, then a lot of times, they're going to just go for the abbreviation of, first initial, last initial. So kind of makes sense. But anytime I can see a full autograph, it makes me smile. No matter who it is, a Hall of Fame player or even a jobber, I love seeing someone take passion into their auto. 1-1 pitch, fouled off and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Fried to Julio Rodriguez. Max Fried on the mound, 4-3 record with an ERA of 2.88 coming in, and Julio Rodriguez in the box with Randy at first. 1-2 pitch. Good take there by Julio, four-seam fastball high and away, 96 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, and I think, based on like fan experiences, the only thing that I've seen a little bit different is that, like, let's say, for example, Cole Young normally signs CY, and then if you're able to get his number 2, usually that's only like if he's signing for a fan, and sometimes you'll be able to get that extra, and sometimes just getting the number attached with the auto increases the value and it gives you something that's a little bit more unique. And pitches inside. No challenge there. Might have been strike 3. No challenge by the Yankees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first. Randy Arozarena with 2 outs. Come on, Julio. Come on, J-Rod. 3-2 pitch. And big swing and a miss. Down goes Julio. Nasty pitch with the cutter right down the middle by Max Fried. Randy is stranded. We got 5 hits. They only have 4. We have a run. They have none. We have no errors. Neither do the Yankees. It's been a pitcher's duel. But again, we saw this in game 1 against the Yankees with Brian Wu, 1-0 lead, right? Then Ferrer came in and he didn't blow it in that particular moment, but then Rucker and Bizzardo did. So again, we got to try to do our best to try to get to 4 to 5 runs. 1-0 is great, but again, I don't know if we can win with a 1-0 lead. We haven't really proven that we can win games like that lately. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 5th and see who's up next for the Yankees. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up in the 7 hole, right fielder Jose Caballero. Batting second in the 8 hole, 0 for 1, third baseman Ryan McMahon. And batting third in the 9 hole, catcher 1 for 1, Ali Sanchez. Try dance up. Let's go M's. $43 subs to go to 24,600. We're at 12 on the Dono train, 88 to go. Let's see where we're at on the likes with 113 in the room. We're at 63. We're almost there. 37 more to 100. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. It'll help us with metrics and analytics, as well as anybody looking for Mariners, Yankees, not only in the United States and Canada, but Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. We are global, so you never know who might be looking for Mariners, Yankees, or an MLB stream to watch. All right, the former Mariner in the box, Jose Caballero. And Logan Gilbert has been pitching, very well. And obviously we've seen that out of Gilbert, Wu, and Kirby, our top 3. They've all pitched very, very, good lately. It's just that Miller and Hancock have been kind of hit or miss. And that's why those guys are on the back end of the rotation. And Castillo, we traded to the White Sox. And what does he do yesterday? Career season high, 10K game, helping the White Sox win. Go figure. But it doesn't surprise me one bit. White Sox are a playoff team. They have better vibes than what we do right now in Seattle. And, I wish the best for Castillo. Hopefully he'll help them win a couple playoff games. 0-1 pitch, fouled off. Low and at the knees. No balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Caballero. But that's kind of what happens, right? When Mariner players leave, they usually have success on other teams. So whether they go to a playoff team like the White Sox or even a bottom feeder team. But, good for Luis. 0-2 pitch from Gilbert. Pitches low and away. Splitter 82 miles an hour to Jose Caballero. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 5th in a pitcher's duel between Logan Gilbert and Max Fried. We got a solo dinger by Weston Wilson that was unexpected, but I'm very happy about that. And hopefully we'll be able to add on a little bit more. 1-2 pitch. Caballero. Line drive. Into Randy's glove in left field, and that is 1 away. Next up for the Yankees in the 8 hole, third baseman Ryan McMahon, and in the 9 hole, catcher Ali Sanchez. Line out in the 3rd inning. McMahon batting .219, 10 homers, 31 ribbies in 2026. First pitch is low and away with a slider, 87 miles an hour, missing the corner, 1-0 count. And I'm happy that Logan is pitching well. Kirby and Wu are pitching well. And Wu finally being able to pitch well on the road. And again, we just need Hancock and Miller to kind of get back to where they were at the beginning of the year as the top 2 guys. 1-0 pitch, high and away, splitter missing, 86 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes from Gilbert to McMahon. And it kind of makes you wonder who's the odd man out when Cade Anderson gets called up. Who would we rather have in the starting 5, Bryce Miller or Emerson Hancock? Now, if it's the Miller at the beginning of the year, then it's Miller. But if it's Miller at the, recent last month or so, then we probably want Hancock. But, again, somebody's going to be that odd man out at some point. And McMahon flies out to center. Julio Rodriguez is there, and that is 2 away. But really, it's all about consistency, and that's really what it comes down to. Who is going to be the more consistent pitcher, Hancock or Miller? Nice job there by Julio, and that is 2 away. Next up is Ali Sanchez. On deck, center fielder, leadoff hitter, Trent Grisham. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Incredible producer, incredible friend, and I wish the best for him. Slow dribbler, throw to first, and that is out number 3. Man, the pitching and defense have been phenomenal today. It's just unfortunate we've hit into a couple double plays, and again, we haven't been able to get anything going besides Weston Wilson yet, but once Max Fried exits, maybe we'll be able to get a few more plays like this one. All right, end of the 5th inning, 1-0 Mariners. Let's go to the top of the 6th, and let's see if we can get something going. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K. Had a home run yesterday, the Italian Stallion, Dominic Canzone. Let's go, Dom. Batting second, 0 for 2, DHing, big dumper Cal Raleigh. And batting third, 1 for 2 in the 5-hole, first baseman Josh Naylor. Trident's up, let's go M's. We're at 12 on the dono train, 88 to go, 43 subs to go to 24,600, less than 500 to go to 25,000. That's very exciting. 6.2 to 6.3 million views on the channel. Next goal will be 7 million views, then 8, 9, and 10. And let's see where we're at on the likes here as we're at the end of the 5th inning, 1-0 Mariners. We got the Astros up next. Obviously, public enemy number 1 is the Tigers, then Astros number 2, and I'm really looking forward to playing them tomorrow. And we're at 67 likes, 33 to 100. '50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. He's retiring after this season from the booth. So we dedicate every stream to the one and the only Rick Riz. I love you. And we've been blessed, with amazing people, on the microphone, with Dave Niehaus, to obviously Rick Riz in the booth on the radio. Goldie is amazing, for being a younger, broadcaster. And again, for the few of us that are on YouTube that have teams that we represent, it definitely is an honor, to be able to represent the Mariners on YouTube to the fullest. And again, there's a lot of teams out there that have horrible announcing. And that's one thing that we have to be blessed that, in the Seattle organization, that we always have, a few really good pieces on the mic. And I know some people didn't really like Dave Sims, but he ended up going back to his home, town to New York, and obviously is doing some broadcasts for them. And, I know for some people, Sims was hit or miss. Some people loved him, some people didn't, but, everyone is going to have a voice or a connection to a certain type of broadcaster. So, all right, Ryan Yarbrough is coming in here for the Yankees. And again, at one point or another, Goldie will go to St. Louis because, obviously he has ties there. But hopefully we end up having Goldie for as long as we can before he ends up making that move. Maybe when he ends up getting into his 50s or 60s, maybe then he'll go back to St. Louis. But hopefully we can hang on to Goldie for as long as possible because obviously they don't really have anybody to fill his shoes yet. At the moment, there's nobody that's doing color that could fill Goldie's shoes. And obviously nobody in the radio booth since Riz obviously is retiring. First pitch is high and away with a sinker, 1-0 count. I think Sims was above average, but I definitely would take Goldie over Sims. So I think it worked out. 2-0 pitch. In there for a strike to Dominic Canzone. 2 balls and 1 strike from Yarbrough to Canzone. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Two-one pitch, little line drive, right to Ryan McMahon and caught. Right place and right time. Down goes Dom, and that is 1 away. And again, the Yankees have had a few line drives go right to them this series, and there's nothing that you can do. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. On deck is Josh Naylor. Let's go, Cal. First pitch, big swing and a miss with that sweeper, 0-1 count. And it's really about Cal getting his confidence back and his timing, and being more patient in the box. It's one thing to be an aggressive hitter when you're on, like last season, but if there's ever a time where you need to get back to where you were, batting 160 is unacceptable, and again, you got 12 home runs and you might be able to get to 20 before the year is over if you're lucky, but again, I feel it's a lot of it is in his head, and again, you got to be able to get mentally right to start believing in yourself again. And it's a hard thing to do when you've been struggling pretty much all year on top of having injuries. 7 hard hit balls today, 3 by the Yankees, 7 by the Mariners. 0-2 pitch, line drive into right, out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. But I do believe Cal will get back to being that 20 to 35 home run guy next season. And then hopefully before his career is over, he'll have at least one more 40-plus home run season, which I believe he will. He's too good of a player. But the injuries, anytime you have injuries to your midsection or your legs, it definitely takes some time to, get back to where you were, because the push off, on the swing. And then obviously if you have anything with your arms as well, it can definitely be a factor. Elbows, wrists, shoulders, EC joints, legs, ankles, all of that is very, very important, especially for a bigger hitter. And Cal is challenging here. And it ends up hitting the corner, and that is confirmed, and that is strike 3. Next up is Josh Naylor. On deck is Brendan Donovan. But again, we got Ace, our first-round draft pick, who's been looking great in the farm. Michael Arroyo, as well as Lazaro Montes, look amazing. Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan look amazing as pitchers. It's just a matter of time before we get more youth, on the team and things start coming together. First pitch with the sweeper, 73 miles an hour, inside 1-0 count. And then we just have to make a decision if Randy comes back and JP or not. I wouldn't really mind if we move on from Randy. We could always put Luke Raley or Dom in left and call up Lazaro Montes and have him play right field. And he's a monster. He can hit. He can defend. He's like a Julio. So, we'll see. And I'm definitely excited about Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan as well. And Michael Arroyo is kind of a beast too. But we already have a second baseman in Cole Young. So 1-0 pitch. In there for a strike with a sinker, 88 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Yarborough to Naylor. And Ace, our first-round draft pick, can play third, first, or outfield. So that could fill in some of the gaps as well, especially if Donovan and JP may or may not be healthy. Moving on, we don't know if JP will be back, and we don't know if Donnie can continue to be healthy or not, in the deal that we gave him. So, drafting Ace, was a very smart draft pick. And again, we've been really good at drafting in the last 6-7 years. It's just about picking up, free agents. We're terrible at that, as far as Dipoto and his evaluation. Drafting players, 10 out of 10. Getting players in free agency, 0 out of 10. Big swing and a miss. Now, when we trade, sometimes we can end up getting players that way. But when we just sign guys, Connor Joe, Rob Refsnyder, Mitch Garver, not good. Polo was a failure in year 1, but year 2 he was good. And then obviously getting guys in trades like Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone, that worked out, but again, we need someone that knows how to evaluate talent, and also understanding that hitting in Seattle is a lot harder than hitting here in New York. This is the second hitter-friendly ballpark. That's why so many Yankee players do well here as far as hitters, not just Aaron Judge, but in Seattle, we're like 30 out of 30. It's the hardest ballpark to hit at. So just because you were good, for Boston, Refsnyder, against lefties doesn't mean you're going to be good for us. And obviously he wasn't. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th, but I am happy that we can at least draft guys. And again, we are 10 out of 10 based off drafting talent. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th and see who's up next year for New York. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Yankees, 1 for 2, leadoff hitter, center fielder Trent Grisham. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a K, DHing, having a breakout year, Ben Rice. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, left fielder Spencer Jones. And it's just amazing to me that the Yankees are 16 games above 500 with no Aaron Judge, no Cody Bellinger, and no Giancarlo Stanton. That is just crazy. I just can't fathom. If we had no Julio, no Cole Young, and no Randy Arozarena, we would be 16 games below 500. It's just crazy on how well managed they are. And obviously we know they spend a lot of money. They're like the Dodgers, except not on that level as far as spending money. Dodgers spend the money and they win World Series. Yankees spend money and, sometimes they go, to the playoffs, and that's kind of where it ends. But still the most consistent team year in and year out in the American League. And obviously we know the Rays are the biggest threat to the Dodgers this year. And if it ends up being Rays Dodgers, no one's going to be shocked. But if there is a team that could get hot at the right time, especially with the addition to Judge, Bellinger, and Giancarlo Stanton, if they are able to play this season, it could be New York. All right, first pitch to Grisham. there by Logan Gilbert, four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. Pitch to Grisham. And there for a strike. Beautiful changeup, 87 miles an hour there by Gilbert, a.k.a. Walter. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 6th with a pitcher's duel, 1-0. And again, it almost kind of feels like you want Logan to pitch the whole game, because again, anytime a bullpen guy comes in, we can't trust him. Can we trust Gabe Spire? No. Can we trust Bizzardo? No. Can we trust Ferrer? No. Can we trust Rucker and Davila? No. The only guy that we can trust is probably Mooney, but we only see him like once a week, and again, we're still waiting for Brash, Criswell, and Vargas to be healthy to kind of get rid of the AAA guys and hopefully bolster our bullpen. And then you have Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's kind of hit or miss. So, and again, the bullpen needs to be focused on. That should be the number one focus for the Mariners every year, not getting a backup second baseman or a right-handed hitter. We have plenty of guys in the farm that we can call up to fill those spots. But the one thing that we need the most is pitching. Even though we got good starting pitching, and we got Sloan and Cade waiting in the wings, but the bullpen needs definitely a retooling. There's no doubt about that. 2-2 pitch. Whether that means that we get starters from other teams and move them primarily into the pen, or getting guys from the pen that are really good from other teams instead of focusing on Ref Snyders and Joes and Garvers and those type of guys. Just wasted money, when you get guys like that. Should be focusing more on our bullpen, because that's the position group that's going to win us or lose us more games, and our bullpen has cost us at least 30, 40 games this year. 2-2 pitch, popped up. And just foul as it goes into the front row. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Grisham. Yeah, we would be screwed if we were in the National League, and we also would be screwed if this was a regular year in the American League. Because based on how we were playing, we would be 3rd, 4th, or 5th. And there definitely would be teams that, would be much higher. But thankfully, the Rangers, Astros, and Mariners are all kind of booty, this season. We're the worst division in baseball. So even though we played terribly this year, it's not like the Rangers and Astros have played that much better. Sometimes they'll have a few games above 500 and they'll be ahead of us. But, you never know. All it takes is a few series, to play bad, and then we can catch up. But also the same thing applies to us. If we start getting swept left and right, it could end up getting to a point that no matter how good we do in September, we may not be able to catch up. But hopefully, we can get hot at some point and we can, surprise a few of these playoff teams and end up beating them. Because again, we're going to have a number of them that we're going to have to step up. Astros starting tomorrow, and then we end up having, the Phillies and the Brewers and the Cubs and the Red Sox, all playoff teams. And then you got the Blue Jays, even though they may not be a playoff team, but they play us tough. Same thing with the Astros. May or may not be a playoff team, but they play us tough. But obviously it feels like the Rangers are kind of going on a downward slope like us, and the Astros are taking advantage. But, a lot can happen between now and then. And down he goes, and that is 1 away. Next up is Ben Rice. But it shows you what happens when you have a good manager, and when the team spends money. Good things happen. First pitch to Ben Rice is a ball, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and no strikes to Ben Rice. And that's when when you have a great manager and a great organization, when you're missing 3 of your top 5 guys, Bellinger, Stanton, and Judge, who normally is the best player in the planet besides Ohtani, and you can be that many games, above 500, that's just crazy. Even last year, if we were hot and we were missing our top 3 guys, we wouldn't be 16 games above. We'd still probably be 4 to 8 games above because we were awesome last year. But, it's just crazy. And it really does start at the top. You got to have a good owner, a good GM, a good manager, and then it trickles down to the players. And that ends up being a 4-pitch walk to Ben Rice. Yeah, but the thing is, it's one thing to be a good, player, but it also is a different thing to be a good leader and a good manager. And a lot of former players weren't really great players themselves. And again, you could be a good player or a role model or a role player, but again, playing baseball and then also leading grown men that have egos, that's a completely different job, skill set. And again, he's just not the guy, just like Scott Service. They don't have the right attitude. They don't have the right baseball IQ, and we need someone that's a little fiery like Lou Piniella, for us to be able to get where we want to go. And that's the World Series. We've never been. We can't just have guys that are trying to be grandpas and friends to the players. That shit doesn't work, and again, Scott and Dan are essentially the same person, and we need someone that's a little bit different, to be able to get us where we want to go. And it's not like Dan's going to get a job after he gets fired by the Mariners. Nobody's going to hire him, and again, I appreciated what Dan did. He caught balls for guys that I love, like Randy Johnson, the big unit, but he's not a good manager, and again, if you like him, that's fine, and I liked him as a player, but as far as a manager, he's not good enough to be able to get us where we need to go. And that's just the bottom line. And again, you can always appreciate what they did for us when we were younger, but again, sometimes being a player and being a leader are two totally different things. Some people can do it and some people can't. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Spencer Jones. And again, he doesn't know how to, construct a lineup card, let alone, his baseball IQ isn't really there. He brings in the wrong guy, keeps a guy in too long, sometimes ends up pulling the wrong guy too soon, doesn't know how to construct a batting order, game in and game out. If fans can do a better job than a professional former player, then there's a problem, And that call is overturned, and that is strike 3, and that is 2 away. But like Taylor Ward leading off. In what world would anybody have Taylor Ward leading off when he just came to the team? He's not Ichiro. He's not J.P. Crawford, even though, he ended up walking a lot. You want to have your 3 best hitters leading off, and that's Cole Young, Randy Arozarena, and Julio Rodriguez. And again, it's not just me that realizes this. It's every Mariner fan on planet Earth. He just doesn't understand, and on top of that, there's other guys that are below him that are not calling him out. This is not good, Dan, but again, whether it ends up being, Dan's 100% decision, whether DePoto has any type of, influence, or Hollander, or it ends up being any of the guys that are below him, the hitting coaches, it's just unacceptable, When things are going wrong, at least we need to make sure we have a good lineup. And then obviously, when we go against left-handed pitching, having those crappy right-handed lineups, Dom and Luke should have started every game this year, and we would have done better instead of, putting Ref Snyder and Joe in and Garver, and just because they're a right-handed bat doesn't mean that they can hit, and either you understand that or you don't, and I feel that he just doesn't have the right baseball IQ to take us to where we need to go, and that's why you see the Fire Dan hashtag and all the memes and all the posts, because he's just not good enough for this team. Maybe for another team, a bottom feeder, but not for us. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Luis Garcia Jr. And Lou Piniella, if he was managing this team right now, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. He would be benching Randy for not hustling in left field. He'd be screaming and yelling occasionally, standing up for himself, for the team and the city and the players. Would he be ejected a few times throughout the year? Yeah, but then it would probably cause us to, rise up and play better. He'd probably end up kicking some dirt and throwing a bag once in a while. But that's what we need. Someone that, isn't a crazy person, but someone that has passion and good baseball IQ that knows how to fill up a lineup card every day. Someone that's a leader, not a friend, and that's the difference. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Garcia. There's a fine line of being someone that's a disciplinarian that yells, but also that gains respect, but that also is a player's coach. You just can't be a yeller and you just can't be a friend. You have to find that fine line where, you're respected and feared, but also, someone that, can be a friend and that has personal relationships with the players and the players' family. You have to find that fine line, and again, it's hard to do that, obviously, in sports, where you can be feared and respected, intelligent, but also be a player's coach. 2-2 pitch. Low and away with the splitter, 84 miles an hour. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Garcia Jr. I mean, I've been, and again, I've been following this team since I was 3-4 years old. So I know what it takes, for, a manager to be good, not just in baseball, but in basketball and football and hockey and anything, that is a competitive sport, and again, it's not like Dusty Bakers and Tony La Russas, are walking around, nowadays. Unfortunately, if we could get a, manager like that or like a Lou Piniella, we would be fine. But baseball is this weird sport where they don't promote college coaches, and again, it's just kind of a revolving door of former players that get hired and fired, and a lot of them aren't very good managers. And it's just unfortunate that they don't promote, from college. 3-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. And Logan is wheeling and dealing. Let's go. Shutout by Logan Gilbert. And again, Gilbert, Wu, and Kirby have been magnificent lately. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 95 pitches, 59 strikes. And I know this is kind of selfish of me, but I want Logan Gilbert to pitch the whole game. I don't care if he goes to 130 pitches. It kind of feels like the only way that we could win this game. And obviously they won't allow him to pitch typically over 105, 110, but again, based on how the games have gone, it's like as soon as our starting pitcher leaves, then the bullpen blows it. And we don't even know if we're going to be able to get any more hits the rest of the game, but I hope we will. Great job there by Logan Gilbert. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. All right, we got to get some run support for the Mariners and Logan Gilbert. Next up, 0 for 2, second baseman Brendan Donovan. Batting second, 1 for 2 with an RBI and a home run. It is Weston Wilson. Shout out to Weston, baby. And batting third, 1 for 2 in the 8-hole catcher Johnny Pereda. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Yeah, he's pretty much done. He's at 95, so he might come out for one more batter in the 7th inning, but realistically, he's probably done. Usually they pull pitchers, in the 90s or in the low 100s, so. But back in my day, growing up, in the 80s and 90s, pitchers would pitch the whole game, and again, the times have changed. All right, we gained another sub. 42 subs to go to 24,600. We're at 12 on the dono train, 88 to go. Anything that can be done to help me and Paisley would be greatly appreciated. And hopefully we can get to 100 likes before the stream ends. We got 128 in the room. We just need a little bit more support. Can we get 28 people to hit the like button so we can get to 100? That would be greatly appreciated. If we can't get to 150 or 200, we got to get to at least 100. We're at 72, 28 to go. First pitch takes a strike, looking with that sinker, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, takes another sinker, low and away, 86 miles an hour there by Yarborough. No balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Donovan. Come on, Mariners, we need this dub so badly. 0-2 pitch, and Donnie pops up. Should be a routine play for Grisham in center, and that is 1 away. Next up is Weston Wilson. And we might need Weston to hit another home run if we're going to win today. And then on deck is Johnny Pereda. First pitch in there for a strike with a sweeper, 71 miles an hour, low and away, 0-1 count. One pitch, check swing. Did he go? And he does. 77 mile an hour changeup fooling Wilson. No balls and 2 strikes from Yarborough to Wilson. Come on, Mariners. Orion. Close. Like the constellation. And I'm not Irish, so no apostrophe. Just like the constellation. And the 80s electronics. Announcer, manager, I can do it all. Call the games and manage the team. Play-by-play, color, and turn us into a contender. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Yarborough to Wilson. 1-2 pitch, and a line drive broken bat towards first base with the cutter. And out of play, 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 7th inning, 1-0 Mariners. Top of the 7th inning, 1-0 Seattle. 1-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. Low and away. Change up 79 miles an hour. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody on and with 1 out. Mariners hanging on to a 1-0 lead. We know our bullpen has not been good lately, but again, we need to get a few more runs to give us a chance to win this game. 2-2 pitch. And Wilson ends up dribbling it towards third base and out of play with that sweeper, 74 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Yarborough to Wilson. First the Mariners they know who I am, but they don't really like follow me or recognize me, and again, it's not like there's a lot of full-time YouTubers, representing, different teams. I mean, you got a few Yankees streamers, a few Blue Jays streamers, a Dodgers streamer, myself, but there's not a lot of us, compared to like football streamers that dedicate themselves to one team. But, they know who I am, but they don't like necessarily follow me or recognize what I do, I think, But if I can get followed one day, that would be nice. So they understand, what I'm doing and whatnot. Maybe I have to get more followers than the Seattle Mariners, on social media. And once I have more followers than them, then they'll probably recognize me, so whether it be, on YouTube itself and whatnot. So. But I'm already one of the top fans and I have all the badges and whatnot. So they know, but I'm not sure if they know to the extent of what I do game in and game out on YouTube though. But hey, play-by-play, color, radio, YouTube, TV, manager. Hey, sign me up. 3-2 pitch, pop behind the plate and out of play. Count still full. 3 balls, 2 strikes from Yarborough to Weston Wilson. Three-two pitch, little dribbler towards third base and out of play. Count still full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Weston Wilson. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Top of the 7th inning, 1-0 Mariners. And pitches outside, and that ends up being ball 4. Let's go. 12-pitch walk, and that's what we need to see a little bit more often. Weston Wilson, I see you. All right, here we go. Next up is Johnny Pareda. On deck is Leo Ross. And no Taylor Ward, Cole Young, or Colt Emerson. I'm not sure if those 3 guys played today were at 2 or 3 runs, but, And we got De Los Santos coming in. Yeti De Los Santos. All right, Yeti de los Santos coming in. Let's see if Johnny Pereda can play like he did in May. You know, he was doing great, and what did they do? Send him down. You know, and that's what the Mariners typically do. They pick the wrong guy. You know, when two guys are competing for a job, and they end up going with the wrong piece. They chose Garver over Pereda. Was ridiculous. And again, we were hitting well in May, and then when we sent him down, what happened? We went into a slump. Coincidence? I think not. And then on deck is Leo Ribas, who was much better last year than this year. But, you know, again, we have only so many pieces left to fill in for guys that are either hurt or that have a day off. Look at Lazaro Montes. Telling you, Lazaro Montes is a monster. Offensively and defensively, you know, he can throw guys out from right field. And we haven't seen too many guys. And he's built like a big physical guy, you know, too, as well. He's super athletic. It'll be the closest thing to Julio Rodriguez that we have in center in right field, and he'll be our everyday right fielder for a long time. And then we just got to figure out if we get rid of Randy, you know, who's the left fielder, Dom or, you know, Luke Raley or maybe Ace. And Wilson steals a bag and safe. But we need to figure out who's going to be left field, going to be third base. Obviously, you got J.P. Crawford, Brendan Donovan, Ace, our draft pick. And then if we end up keeping Randy, then, you know, Randy will be there and left. But we'll see. Future is bright, though. Michael Arroyo, infielder, second baseman, even though we have Cole Young. Lazaro Montes is a right fielder. He'll be our future in right field. Ace, our future at third, first, or in the outfield. And then Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan as pitchers. Can't wait. First pitch into Johnny Pereda is a strike. Second pitch in there for a strike as well. No balls and 2 strikes from De Los Santos to Pereda. 0-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Sinker 95 miles an hour there by De Los Santos. No balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Pereda. 0-2 pitch. And that is strike 3 looking. Down goes Pereda, and that is 2 away. All right, next up is Leo Rivas. Oh, now Cole Young is pinch hitting. Yes, let's go. My boy, my favorite player on the team. He's in the lineup, baby. Cole Clutch Young, let's go. That's my boy. And again, I do believe that Cole has a chance to end up being the best player on the team. You know, we got Cole Young, we got Julio Rodriguez, and then Cade Anderson, you know, and I won't be shocked in the near future if those are our top 3 guys. You know, guys that can play offense and defense at a high level like Julio and Cole, and then having a guy like Cade who could end up being our number 1 pitcher sooner than later. And that's saying a lot considering we have Gilbert, Kirby, and Wu. You know, but again, Cade is that guy that has got that talent to eventually be in the 5, the 3, and then eventually even being over Gilbert, Kirby, and Wu. I truly believe it. And then I feel that Ryan Sloan can be kind of like a Emerson Hancock, you know, Bryce Miller type, where he could end up helping the team as well. You know, and one day he might end up being the 4 or the 5, depending on what we do with the others. Unless they end up putting Sloan in the bullpen, which could help us as well, because we know we have a lot of problems with the bullpen. But eventually Sloan will go from the bullpen to be a starter, you know, at some point in his career, you would assume. 1-0 pitch. And a line drive into left. And just foul. 1 ball and 1 strike from De Los Santos to Cole Clutch Young. Cade Anderson. Not Cade Wilson. Yeah, they picked a pitcher, and they decided to not get Cade, and then, you know, the Nats ended up picking a positional player. So But that, again, it's their mistake and our gain, and to be able to get the guy that should have been the number one pick in the draft, and again, he's going to be, a guy that might be the next Clayton Kershaw, as far as like lefties are concerned, or the next big thing like Paul Skeens from a couple years ago, or Mizorowski could be the next Mizorowski for the Mariners. So I'm very excited. And a little dribbler there, throw to first, and unfortunately Cole Young ends up dribbling out, pinch hitting there for Leo Rivas, and that is out number 3. No, you're good. But when the Angels went for a pitcher other than Cade, I was like, oh my God, because I didn't think Cade was going to be there. I thought for sure he would be picked number 2, because they already mentioned the Nationals weren't looking for a pitcher. They were looking for like a shortstop, second baseman, more than likely, for the top pick. So, but again, for some people, they know how to draft, and for others, they don't. So their mistake was our gain. All right, next up for the Yankees in the bottom of the 7th, 0 for 2 in the 5-hole, shortstop George Lombard Jr. Batting second, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks. Second baseman in the 6-hole, Jazz Chisholm Jr. And batting third, the former Mariner, 0 for 2, right fielder Jose Caballero. And now the question is, who's coming in for Logan Gilbert? Logan is done, but who's coming in? We're at 12 on the Dono train. 88 to go. 42 subs to go to 24,600. And if we can get just a few people to hit that like button before this game is over, we'll be able to get to 100. And I get it. It's an early morning game. Not as many people are available. They're at work and other things and running errands. But again, we're only 21 likes away with 134 in the room. So if we can get 21 people to hit that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. And we have enough. We have 134 in the room, and I guarantee there's at least 21, more than 21 people in the room that haven't hit it yet. So. And people in the room, the mods and the regulars can help out with that as well. Yeah, it's almost, it's football time pretty soon, man, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll be doing a lot of college football and a lot of NFL. And then obviously as we get into the new year, we'll be doing some probably NASCAR and NHL and NBA and WWE and AEW, just things to keep us going and whatnot. So, and then if baseball ends up being canceled with the strike for hopefully a short period of time, I'm not sure if the Tacoma Rainiers are going to be televised, but I can always go that route to try to, keep the baseball going, either that or Savannah Bananas or something, but hopefully we end up not having a strike for the whole year. Appreciate that, Edward. All right, Eduard Bizzardo coming in, who's had meltdown 7 out of his last 9. And we just have to pray that it's not 8 out of the last 10. Because, again, he's given up home runs, RBIs, and multiple hits 7 out of his last 9 appearances. And I don't think Dan Wilson even realizes that. But, again, some people are smart and others are not. All right, Cole is in. And Colt Emerson in the game now as well. So we get Cole and Colt in. And maybe that'll be the difference between us winning and losing, as long as Bizzardo doesn't shit the bed like he did a couple days ago. And then Donovan is moving to third now. Cole Young at second, and shortstop is Colt Emerson. So we're kind of eliminating some of the weaker bats and getting some of the strong pieces back here. All right, Bizzardo. And again, we don't really trust anybody in the bullpen right now besides Andres Munoz. So it's like we got 10 guys. We got one guy that we trust, and we only get to see him once a week. But this could be the day that we see Mooney if we can get some decent pitching, and then we can add on another run or two, hopefully for insurance. Come on, bullpen. First pitch from Bizzardo is a strike. That's a good sign. Sinker, 96 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And I don't even need the bullpen to get strikeouts. That's out of the question. Just get outs, pop-ups, ground outs. I don't even care if you get even a 1 strikeout. Just get outs. That's how bad they've been. You know, normally when the bullpen comes in, you're like, yeah, let's smoke them. Let's get 3 Ks. But, you know, when they're terrible, you know, you just don't even care if they even get 1 strikeout. We just need pop-ups, ground outs, double plays, whatever. 1-1 pitch. Popped up. Cole Young, baby. And that is a pop-up. That's exactly what we want. And going to the guy that's the most trustworthy other than Julio, Cole Clutch Young. That is 1 away. Good defense there, Cole. Next up is Jazz Chisholm Jr. on deck, the former Mariner, Jose Caballero. And hopefully this will be 2 ground ball outs or 2 pop-ups or a pop-up and a ground ball out, vice versa. And we can end up getting out of this inning unscathed. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. You know, but again, Bizzardo with meltdowns in the 7 of the last 9, hitting people, walking people, giving back-to-back-to-back hits, RBIs, and home runs. Unacceptable. 1-0 pitch, and a little dribbler towards first. There we go, baby. Josh Naylor, 2 away. You ask and you shall receive. Pop up, ground ball out. Now we just need 1 more out. Same thing. Pop up, ground ball out. We're good to go. Caballero now in, the former Mariner, back in 2023. Bottom of the 7th inning, Mariners hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Logan Gilbert pitching a gem just like Brian Wu did. And then what happened? Wu was great, Ferrer was great, and then Rucker and Bizzardo had meltdowns, right? And then obviously we've seen meltdowns yesterday as well with Gabe Spire and company. So we just got to find a way. 1-0 pitch. Almost hits him. High and inside. 2 balls and no strikes. To Jose Caballero. Come on, Mariners. We got the Astros next, and I would really love a win today to prevent us getting swept by the New York Yankees. 2-0 pitch. Low and away. Sinker, 96 miles an hour, low and away. 3 balls and no strikes from Bizzardo to Caballero. Come on, Bizzardo. And the crazy thing, Bizzardo was our number 1 bullpen pitcher last year. How do you go from being number 1 to one of the worst? But I guess how does Mooney go from top 5 closer to bottom 5? And then now he's back to being a top 10 guy again. You know, it's this year has been crazy. And that's a 4-pitch walk. And Bizzardo with 2 outs. Hopefully we'll be able to get this last out here. Even if it's a fielder's choice, I don't care. Jose Ferrer warming up. And Ferrer is probably the most reliable out of the 3 lately between Bizzardo, Spire, and Ferrer. First pitch in there for a strike with a sweeper, 82 miles an hour to Ryan McMahon, 0-1 count. McMahon in the box, Edward Bizzardo on the mound. Come on, Bizzardo. Give me that pop-up and that ground ball out. Fielder's choice, I don't care. Throw to first, and Caballero is safe. Bottom of the 7th inning, Mariners hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Logan Gilbert was excellent. We got a solo dinger that was unexpected by Weston Wilson, but we need more insurance if we're going to win. 0-1 pitch, into the dirt. Sweeper missing there, 84 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Bizzardo to McMahon. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And Caballero's going. Throw him out. Got him. Got him. There we go. Oh, is he safe now? Oh, did Colt drop the ball? So he had him, and then he dropped the ball. So now he's safe. Come on, Colt. So ruled him out, and then Colt dropped the ball. So I assume he's safe now. Let's see a replay. Nice strong throw by Pareda. No, he doesn't drop the ball. Must have slipped out of the glove, but it looked like he hung on to the ball long enough. What happened here? It's in the glove. Oh, and then he went down. And then the ball came out. Ah! 3-1 count now to Ryan McMahon. And that is a strike with a sweeper, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at second with 2 outs. Come on, Mariners. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of problems. It's been, injuries, poor manager, and then obviously the lack of hitting and the lack of bullpen. There's a lot of reasons why the season has not gone, but those would be the top 4 in my opinion. 3-2 pitch, and that ends up being a walk. But the bullpen has been bad. Hitting has been bad. Bullpen and hitting are really up there. And then obviously, Dan Wilson not being really the best manager for us, but the lack of hitting and the lack of a consistent bullpen with the injuries and Dan Wilson, that's kind of, the power 4, as you would say. But we've had more injuries this year than any year that I can remember in the last 40. So I've never seen a team, this banged up, and again, it's like everyone's been injured besides like Cole Young and Cole. Like everyone is missed, at least a couple days or a week or longer, as far as the main starters, and then having 3 bullpen starters out and one guy that hasn't even played all year in Vargas, that's killed us. Having AAA guys to rely on in the bullpen is a nightmare. All right, Ahmed Rosario is coming in to pinch hit. All right, we got runners at first and second with 2 outs. Come on, Bizzardo. You've already had meltdowns in 7 out of the last 9. We don't need it to be 8 out of 10. Get it together. First pitch is a sinker right down the middle, 95 miles an hour to Rosario, 0-1 count. It's crazy how guys can be so good one year and so bad the next. But that's baseball. But at least Wu, Kirby, and Mooney have turned it around. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes. And they ended up stealing a bag there. Caballero getting to third. Runners now at first and third instead of first and second with 2 outs. We're 1 strike away. Come on now. Come on, Bizzardo. We need this win. 0-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play. No ball, 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Rosario. Edward Bizzardo on the mound. Ahmed Rosario in the box. Bottom of the 7th inning, runners at first and third with 2 outs. Mariners hanging on to a 1-run lead with a solo dinger by Weston Wilson. And Rosario pops up. Please, God, get it. And out of play. That goes back into about the 6th row. Come on, Bizzardo. But Bizzardo definitely is not trustworthy. But we're going to be much better when Brash, Criswell, and Vargas come back. Even if they end up being a little shaky, I'd rather have those guys than Rucker or Davila. And then sometimes those guys coming in instead of Bizzardo or Spire or Ferrer. We need to be able to have a strong bullpen. And, I've never seen our bullpen injured before. This is the first time that we've ever had one guy, out rather than 3 guys out. And, again, it's been challenging. Definitely a concern, going into next year. We need to bolster the bullpen. 0-2 pitch, and that is a ball, but let's see. Pareda is going to challenge, and I think we might win this. Looked like it might have hit the corner. Yeah! Woo! Bizzardo gets out of it. Good challenge. There by Johnny Pareda, bailing out Bizzardo. There we go. Good job. And Bizzardo gives him a pat on the chest, saying, "You bailed me out. Thank you." There we go. There we go. And again, if Johnny Pareda doesn't make the challenge, guess what? They probably score, in this inning. So good job there. We get bailed out. We don't have to see Bizzardo next inning, thank God. And now we go to the top of the 8th, and now we need to add on some insurance. Let's go. One more pitcher to come in, maybe Jose Ferrer, and then Andres Munoz, and then boom shakalaka, we win, hopefully. All right, next up, 1 for 2 with a base on ball and a K, Randy Arozarena. Batting second, 1 for 3 with 2 Ks. Time for a home run, Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a base on ball and a K, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. We could use a Dom bomb, baby. Let's go. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 42 subs to go to 24,600. We're at 12 on the dono train, 88 to go. And we have 155 in the room. We should be able to hit 100 likes if we're not there already. We're at 93. Can we get 7 people to please hit that like button? People in the chat, help out as well. 7 people. That's all we need out of 157. We can do it. Mooney's ERA was in the 5s and 6s, and now it's 3.80 in 42.2 innings. So, and again, early in the year, he was as bad as Castillo. Both of their ERAs were in the 5s and the 6s. And if Mooney can keep getting there, he might be able to get his ERA into the low 3s, maybe even the high 2s. But again, not a lot of guys that we can trust, but Mooney has definitely come a long way. Normally a top 5, top 10 closer. Then this year, at the beginning of the year, he was bottom 5, which is just crazy. And now he's actually, back to kind of, not exactly where he was last year, but definitely on the right path. 0-2 pitch to Randy. Low and away with a sinker, 95 miles an hour there by De Los Santos. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 8th inning, 1-0 Mariners. Yeah, he's a lot better than what he was. He's actually been really good in his last 13, 14, 15 opportunities. At the beginning of the year, terrible. Now he's actually good. He's our most trustworthy piece out of everyone in the bullpen. But even though we only see him like once a week, considering the Mariners haven't put in a position to, bring him out because we haven't been winning games, but I think we're going to see him tonight. Pitch fouled off, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes from De Los Santos to Randy Arozarena. Let's see if Randy can homer in 3 games in a row. Come on, Randy. Trident's up. Let's go Arozarena. 2-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Come on, Randy. Oh, and the bat goes way out of his hands. And that is 1 away. Went right towards Brad Adam and the camera crew. Hopefully it didn't break the camera. First pitch to Julio Rodriguez, high and away, 1-0 count. Let's go, Julio. 1-0 pitch, hard hit ball, shallow left field, and caught, and that is 2 away. Down goes Julio Rodriguez. Next up, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. See if we can get a Dom bomb. It might be the saving grace for us winning or not. Because again, Mooney, when we have a 1-run lead or when we're tied, doesn't do very well. But when we have a 2-run lead or more, he's awesome, especially as of late. So if we can find a way to be able to get another run, either in the top of the 8th or the top of the 9th, it could be our saving grace. First pitch, big swing and a miss. And the next homer for Dom is number 20. Same thing for Julio, but he wasn't able to get his. First pitch, big swing and a miss. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss again. Low and away. Sinker 96 miles an hour by De Los Santos. No balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. Come on, Dom. 0-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. We need a Dom bomb, baby. See if we get a good follow-through swing from Dom here. Got Fernando Cruz warming up in the bullpen for the Yankees. 0-2 pitch. And big swing and a miss as a pitch goes into the dirt. Sinker fooling Dom, and that is out number 3. All right, we're going to the bottom of the 8th, hanging on to a 1-run lead. And then Jose Ferrer coming in, and then it'll be obviously Andres Munoz, hopefully. And hopefully Ferrer will pitch clean here. I would love to be able to go on a victory walk with the pup. You know, we've been getting destroyed lately, and it would be nice to be able to get a win, and we got the Astros next. And I know we feel pretty good going against them. All right, Bizardo was a little shaky, but he didn't give up anything. And now Jose Ferrer, probably our most trustworthy piece besides Spire normally, even though he had a meltdown yesterday after the 3-game suspension, after the Tigers were dirty and threw at Cal Raleigh's stomach. And then we retaliated, and we were the only one to have a suspension, which is bullshit, but it is what it is. All right, Jose Ferrer, we need you to be good today. Next up for the Yankees, 1 for 3 with a K, center fielder Trent Grisham. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a walk and a K. DHing Ben Rice. And batting third, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, left fielder Spencer Jones. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Pickle juice. Anything that'll help. All right, Mariner Moose, let's go, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Jose Ferrer on the mound, Trent Grisham in the box. Come on, Jose. We need a dub. First pitch with the sinker, 99 miles an hour, low and away, 1-0 count. You know, obviously, if we can hang on to a 1-0 lead or, you know, make it 2-0, obviously we'll have Andres Munoz coming in the 9th. 1-0 pitch, popped up. Get that ball, hustle. God, Randy is so fucking lazy. I mean, you're seeing guys like Emerson and Donnie run from farther away, and then you just see Randy stop. You know, and again, I love Randy hitting, you know, but God, he is such a lazy human being. I mean, if he would have ran hard, he might have been able to get to that ball, but he just doesn't care. It's frustrating. There's no reason that Colt Emerson, you know, running from second base or Donnie from third are getting closer to the ball than Randy in left, especially if you're playing shallow left. Come on. That's one thing that I cannot excuse is laziness. And Randy is the laziest player that I've seen in baseball ever. 1-1 pitch. And that goes to Julio Rodriguez, and he ain't lazy. And that is 1 away. There we go. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez. And that is one away. You know, and again, we're going to have Lazaro Montes in right, so I guess we could have Dom, Luke Raley, or Ace potentially in left field. I mean, there's options, you know, depending on if Dom is the everyday DH or not. Maybe Luke Raley could play left field. I mean, even, you know, if you're not going to get to the ball, like, show that you care. Hustle. 0-1 pitch, popped behind the plate and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to Ben Rice. You know, there's nothing more frustrating when you have a chance to make an out and you just let it drop. There's, you know, again, if you're a great team, you might be able to get away with it, like if you're the Dodgers, but, you know, everything is under a microscope when things aren't going well, and especially that is the Seattle Mariners in 2026. So, I mean, I love the hitting that Randy has provided for us this year. He's been our most consistent hitter, you know, but how many runs has he given up based on lazy defense and left? A lot. 1-2 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Ferrer to Ben Rice. Now, if Randy was our everyday DH, then we don't have this conversation ever again. But I don't think he's willing to be an everyday DH. I think he wants to play left field. 2-2 pitch, little blooper into Randy. There we go. Randy making a play. Look at that. Randy moving his legs. He actually made a play. 2 away. There we go, Randy. That's what it's like to be able to be a professional ball player, paid millions, and you actually hustle in left field for once. There we go. And luckily that wasn't a ground ball, because otherwise that would have been a double or triple. All right, here we go. One more out. It's just crazy that it's such a talented human being that makes all-star games on the regular, you know, could be a top 15 player, you know, overall if he just fucking tried, instead of being a top 50 player and an all-star every year, you know. If he was an all-around player like Julio and Cole Young, you know, people would buy his fucking jersey and we wouldn't be complaining, you know, all the time. Yankees challenged and lose the challenge there. Elliot Ramos. Or do they have to? No, they win the challenge. A call is overturned from a strike to a ball. 1-0 pitch, pop behind the plate and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ferrer to Ramos. One pitch. That's a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 100 miles an hour there by Ferrer. And it's not just singles turn into doubles, doubles turn into triples when ground balls go to Randy, you know, but it's the laziness. And then when he gets the ball, throwing lobs, not lasers, and he never gets a ball to the cutoff man to get that runner out. So instead of just 1 run scoring, it ends up being 2. And then that ends up being the end of the Mariners a lot of times. You know, like, can you throw it hard to the cutoff man? And then maybe like, you know, Donovan, Colt, or Cole Young can throw it to Cal or Pareda, and maybe we get that runner out at home and we get 1 run scored, not 2. But, you know, that's kind of what happens. And it's not happened just like once this year. It's happened a lot, you know. And it's not like the Mariners are a force of scoring runs. We're not the Dodgers. We don't score 5 to 10 every game. So every defensive play matters even more. 2-2 pitch. High and away. Sinker, 99 miles an hour there by Ferrer, who's looked good so far. Count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Elliot Ramos, who's pinch hitting. I mean, I've never been so angry and frustrated over a Mariner player besides Robinson Cano, who's also another lazy player. Little dribbler. Colt Emerson is there. Bang! And that's number 3. There we go. All right, here we go. Top of the 9th. Let's see if we get 1 run. We don't need to get more than that. Not being greedy. Just 1 more run to give Mooney some insurance to make it a 2-0 lead as we have Mooney in the bottom of the 9th. Let's see who's up for the Mariners and see if that can happen. Yeah, I mean, and again, would it be shocking if Randy ends up joining the Dodgers or Yankees? Yeah, he probably will, you know. But again, I'd rather have someone like Luke Raley, you know, that may not hit as many home runs at times than Randy, even though Luke had a good year this year, you know, but I want someone that hustles. I want someone that's a team player. I want someone that's going to throw lasers, not lobs. And I want someone that's going to hustle the first base every single time. And obviously Luke is that guy. And, you know, Randy's a great hitter, but that's pretty much all he can do, you know. All right, it's end of the 8th. Let's go to the top of the 9th and see if we can get some insurance, baby. And I'm not talking Geico. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 3 with a K, big dumper Cal Raleigh. Batting second, 1 for 3 with a K, first baseman Josh Naylor. And batting third, 0 for 3, second baseman, now third baseman, Brendan Donovan. Tridents up, let's go M's. I mean, I thought Robinson Cano was lazy when we had him, and I never was a fan of him either. You know, I definitely like Nelson Cruz and Raul Ibanez and Richie Sexton and, Kyle Seager and Felix Hernandez. Those are guys that I liked. But I never was a Robinson Cano guy. And, I'm not really a Randy guy either, as you can tell. But I know I'm not the only one. But I do appreciate Randy's hitting. And I do appreciate Randy on pop-ups. But just running to first, a laziness factor, 100. And then, ground balls, a negative 100. It's like I've never seen someone as bad as him. Besides maybe like Juan Soto, he's pretty fucking lazy. It's like, oh, I'm rich, I'm a millionaire, I made it. But that doesn't mean that you guys have to give up on yourself and the team. I get it. You guys are great players, Randy and Juan Soto, but that doesn't mean that you just give up on plays. But apparently, I guess that's what it's about in the big leagues for some guys. Once they've made the big leagues, they don't care anymore. But those are the two laziest players that I've seen in the last 40 years. And thankfully, we haven't had too many. And coincidentally, they're guys that came from other teams. Go figure. If we draft guys, they don't do shit like that. Randy coming from the Tampa Bay Rays and Cano coming from where? The Yankees. So, that shows you if you bring guys from another team, they bring their bad habits to fucking Seattle. But when we draft guys, that shit doesn't happen because we don't draft guys that do bullshit like that. First pitch to Cal, high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking, 1 ball and 1 strike to big dumper Cal Raleigh. 1-1 pitch, in there for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Come on, Cal. Yeah, but I wouldn't mind moving on from Randy, even though he's a great hitter, And down goes Cal, a strike 3 on the corner. Plus if we have, Dom and Luke and Ace and a few others, I want to be able to have 3 guys in the no-fly zone. And again, I'm telling you guys, Lazaro Montes, once he gets called up in right field, it's going to be just like Julio. You're going to be just shocked. He's got power. He can hit home runs, and he can throw guys out from right field, kind of like Ichiro used to. And again, he's a real big body, muscular kind of guy. Going to be very exciting when Lazaro gets called up from AAA. First pitch to Naylor, popped up and out of play. But it's probably the most exciting prospect that we've had in right field in a long, long time. I'm so excited for him. And then when we get Michael Arroyo called up, and again, Lazaro Montes and Cade Anderson probably are the 2 that I'm most excited about. And I'm also excited about Arroyo and obviously Ryan Sloan. And I'm really excited about our first round draft pick, Ace. I think that, again, the ability to play third, first, and outfield will be huge. And he's built like Lazaro Montes. I mean, he's a monster. When you get a guy that, is 6'4", 6'5", and over 200 pounds, that's not really normal for a third baseman. So it may not be the position that he ends up playing. Little dribbler up the middle here by Naylor. Throw to first, and that is 2 up and 2 down. All day, I know. I started to watch the first season, or not the new season, the third season. I tried looking for it late last night at midnight, but it didn't drop yet. But I'm watching Black Rabbit right now with Jason Bateman. It's just a one season series, 8 episodes, and I'm halfway done with that. And that got Emmy nominated. It's really good, and it's got Jude Law in it as well. But I'm definitely watching Tire season 3 after I take Paisley on a walk. Definitely excited about that. A very good show. That also was Emmy nominated as well. First pitch low and at the knees, 1-0 count. I figured you were going to bring that up because it debuted today. 1-0 pitch popped up by Donnie. And looks like we're not going to get that run for insurance. And we're just going to have to pray that Mooney can win the game 1-0. Let's go. I want to go on a victory walk and then come back and watch Tires the whole season today. All right, let's go to the bottom of the ninth. And again, this is our most reliable bullpen piece by far, Andres Munoz. Used to be a top 5 closer. Beginning of the year, he was bottom 5 in the league, and now he's gotten back to kind of where he was. And, again, still has some room for improvement. But in ERA, no longer in the 5s and the 6s, obviously 3.80, and hopefully we'll be able to get Mooney to get the first 7 pitches on point, because that's usually the determining factor. How does he look in the first 7 pitches? And if he looks great, you know that we're going to be able to win the game 1-0. All right, next up for the Yankees here in the bottom of the ninth, 2 for 3 with a K, first baseman Luis Garcia Jr., batting second 0 for 3 in the 5-hole, shortstop George Lombard Jr., and batting third 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Jr. And hopefully Mooney will rake him up. 42 subs to go to 24,600. We're at 12 on the Dono train, 88 to go. So we can get some support there. Victor Robles comes into right field, and hopefully we're over 100 likes by now. We got enough people in the room, and we got to get to 100 on every stream, bare minimum. And we're at 103. Awesome. We got there. $47 more to 150. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Mariner Moose. Let's go, Mooney. And let's make sure that Johnny Pareda you got to make sure you're hanging on to every ball. Don't let anything go past you. And let's hope that, and I don't even need 3 strikeouts. Hell, I don't even need 1 strikeout. Just give me a pop-up, a ground ball out, another pop-up. I mean, if he gets 1K, fine. If he gets 2, amazing. 3, I'm ecstatic. But let's just get this win. First pitch down and away, 100 miles an hour, triple digits, 0-1 count. Let's go. Let's go. We need this so desperately. Yankees are 16 games above 500. They don't give a damn if they lose this. We need this. 0-1 pitch, low and away, changeup, 93 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Mooney to Garcia Jr. And then again, we play the Astros next. So again, if we win today, it'll give our confidence a slight boost. And we'll see what happens, obviously, starting tomorrow against Houston. 1-1 pitch. Into the dirt with the slider, 88 miles an hour, 2 balls and 1 strike from Mooney to Garcia. And remember, first 7 pitches kind of sets the tone for Mooney. Let's go. Come on, Mooney. 2-1 pitch. Little dribbler towards first. Come on, Cole. Please. Let's go. Thank God Cole Young got substituted in a few innings ago. Again, could end up being our best player on the team. And at one point, it'll be Cole Young, Julio Rodriguez, and Cade Anderson, possibly as our top 3 players in the near future. Great job there by Cole. You're looking at the future starting second baseman in the All-Star game year in and year out. All right, that's 1 away. Good job. Next up is George Lombard Jr. First pitch, big swing and a miss, high and inside. 0-1 count. Let's go. Oh, 1 pitch, taking another strike. Here we go. No balls and 2 strikes to George Lombard Jr. I like it. Let's go, baby. Come on, Mooney. Strike swinging and a strike looking on Lombard Jr. 0-2 pitch. Yeah! Let's go! Big swing and a miss. Woo! 2 away. I mean, we've had a horrible season this year. So again, we got to get excited for even the little things. And again, we don't want to lose an opportunity after Wu normally giving up 6 runs on the road, had a 1-0 lead, and we blew it in game 1. We got to win this game for Logan Gilbert. All right, next up is Jazz Chisholm Jr. I'll take a pop-up or a ground ball out. I don't even need a strikeout. First pitch is low and away. Slider, 87 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Come on now, let's go. Pitching has actually been pretty damn good besides Bryce Miller yesterday. Bullpen has been bad, but Wu and Gilbert have been good. 1-0 pitch. Popped up, get it. Out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jazz Chisholm Jr. Let's go. And it's kind of nice, even though, the Astros may or may not make the playoffs. It's better than playing the Phillies, Brewers, Cubs, or Red Sox next. So at least we get a slight break, and obviously the Blue Jays and Astros are probably going to be the only easier teams to play in this month. 1-1 pitch, popped up and out of play, foul ball, triple digits, 100 miles an hour. First 7 pitches for Mooney were amazing. And again, in the last 14, 15 starts for Mooney, he's been the old Mooney, the good Mooney. And again, that's a good thing to see since we only have one guy that we can trust in the pen. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and we win. Woo! Let's go! Let's go! Final score, Mariners 1, Yankees 0. We prevent the sweep. Let's go! And again, things have gone absolutely haywire for us. So again, to the Yankees, do they care that they lost? No. But for us, we've been on this big losing streak lately. In the last 30 games, we haven't won very many. So again, great job by the pitching, great job by the bullpen, great job by the defense. The only thing that could have been better is hitting. But again, we won 1-0. Thank God for Weston Wilson. And you never know. We got 3 out of 4, and again, we ended up getting, the one big home run, and we're home run dependent, right? So again, it wasn't pretty, but we ended up getting the job done. And I'll take a 1-0, 2-1 victory any day of the week, especially when we've been shitty. Great job. One of the best, hard-fought victories of the year. All right, let's go over the stats quickly. Not a whole lot to go over for both teams in a 1-0 final, of course, but we always do this. All right, Trent Grisham, 1 for 4. Good to see him not hit 2 home runs today like he did yesterday. Rice, 0 for 3. Jones, 0 for 3. Garcia has a great game, 2 for 4, but no RBIs and runs. George Lombard Jr., 0 for 4. You can see a trend. Jazz, 0 for 4. Jose Caballero, 0 for 2. Ryan McMahon, 0 for 2. And then, obviously, Ali Sanchez, 1 for 2. And then let's go with the Mariners. Randy Arozarena, 1 for 3. Julio Rodriguez, 1 for 4. And obviously not having Taylor Ward lead off is fantastic. Dominic Canzone, 0 for 3. Cal Raleigh, 0 for 4, which is not good, but it is what it is. Naylor, 1 for 4. Brandon Donovan, 0 for 4. And the hero of the game, out of all people, one of the weak links in the lineup ends up being the hero, Weston Wilson. 1 for 2 with a home run. Thank God for you. And then Johnny Pareda ended up going 1 for 3. And obviously Leo Rivas went 0 for 2. And then we saw Cole Young kind of come in, and he only got 1 at bat and went 0 for 1. So, but really the story of the day, besides Weston Wilson, was Logan Gilbert in the bullpen. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 95 pitches, 59 strikes, 3.28 ERA. And finally, for once, after all of the bullshit that we've had to go through, again, we haven't had too many 1-0 victories this year. And that was big. Great job there by the bullpen, and great job by Logan Gilbert. Shout out to Logan Gilbert. Shout out to Bizardo. Shout out to Ferrer. And shout out to Andres Munoz. Let's go. And we play the Astros tomorrow, so I got to go take Paisley on a victory walk and eat some lunch. And it sure as hell feels good to win 1-0 than rather to get swept and lose 1-0. So, again, thank you guys for coming through and showing love. Final score, Mariners 1, Yankees 0. We got the Astros up tomorrow. Make sure you guys check the schedule, and I will be here. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Tridents up and go Mariners.